Good evening and welcome commissioners, participants, and interested parties to the this is not May 3rd, 23rd, May 23rd, 2024 meeting of Cohasset Conservation Commission. The meeting is now open. I'm Tom Bell, Chair of the Cohasset Conservation Commission, and will be running tonight's meeting as we implement the Massachusetts and Cohasset Wetlands Protection Acts and the Cohasset Stormwater Management Regulations. Conservation Commission meeting is now in session and is being held on a Zoom platform. If you have any questions for the Commission, put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the page. And when called, please limit your discussion to 3 minutes. You must include your name and address to be recognized. Present this evening on behalf of the Conservation Commission are our Conservation Administrator, Angela Giso, and the town's Conservation Agent, Charlotte Pechtel. We'll now take a roll call of all of the Conservation Commissioners. Please respond by repeating your name and saying present. Kathy, if you can hear us, say present.
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Oh, excellent. Chris McFarland.
Chris McFarland, present.
Chris McIntyre.
Chris McIntyre, present.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, present.
Valerio Romano.
Valerio Romano, present.
Tom Bell, present. Okay, so we have a quorum of 5 tonight. Is that right?
6.
So we'll be taking all 6. Okay, I knew somebody would count better than I would. So we have a quorum of 6 commissioners present tonight. Tonight we'll have we will take all votes via roll call with each commissioner answering yea, nay, or abstain. Before proceeding to the public meeting, the following public hearings are continued. The extension, an extension for NOI 2120 for 147 South Main is continued to June 6th. An amended NOI 1920 for 70 Border Street is continued to 6/6/24. NOI 2404, stormwater permit 2407 for many addresses at Howard Gleason Road is continued to June 6th, 2024. NOI 2332, stormwater permit 2325, 175 Lamberts Lane has been continued to June 20th, 24. And NOI 2334, Turkey Hill Road Wetland Management continued until June 20th. And the following certificates of compliance are continued. NOI 2217 for 22 Atlantic Avenue is continued to June 20th. First order of business is approval of meetings for March 21st, April 4th, April 18th, May 2nd. All of them are 2024. If any of you were not present for any of those, for any specific meeting, please abstain.
Okay.
So we're going to have a vote for, I think there's enough of them. I think I'm going to have a vote for each one of them just to allow anybody to abstain. So I move that we accept the minutes for March 21st, 2024. All those in favor? I will do a roll call vote. Yeah, Will Ashton. Will's gone. Sorry, I'm tired tonight, I guess. Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McFarland.
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre.
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, abstain.
Valerio Romano.
Valerio Romano, aye.
Tom Bell, aye. That passes 5-0-1. The next one is for April 4th, 2024.
Everyone was here for that.
Pardon?
Sorry, everyone was here for that one.
Yeah, well, good. Okay. I move that we accept those. The minutes for April 4th, 2024. Chris McIntyre.
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland.
Chris McFarland, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Sanji Fernando.
Sanji Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano.
Valerio Romano, aye.
Tom Bell, aye. That passes 6-0-0. And April 18th, Charlotte, was everybody here?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I was not either.
Okay, so I move that we accept the minutes for April 18th. Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, Chuck, can you see if I was there? I forget.
You were. It was Chris McFarland and Kathy who weren't.
Sanjay
Yes.
Fernando,
Aye.
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valero Romano,
Valerio Romano, aye.
Tom Bell, I. That vote passes 4-0-2. I move that we accept the minutes for May 2nd, 2024. Charlotte, was everybody there for May 2nd?
Sanji and Valerio were not.
Okay, Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Tom Bell, I. That vote passes 4-0-2. Okay, our first public hearing is a resumption of the public hearing to extend NOI 21-1442 Rust Way. They're requesting a 3-year extension to finish home construction. It's been continued, this hearing has been continued from 5/16/24. Charlotte, we're ready to go. Introduce the applicant, please.
I'm promoting him now, Rob Caratoa, who is the general contractor and builder for the project. Rob, if you can hear me, I'm trying to promote you to panelist. There you go. Hi, Rob. You're muted.
How you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Can you, oh, and I'll promote Jeff as well. And then Jeff Hassett from Morse Engineering. All right, Rob, do you want to walk us through your request?
You want me to put my video on also?
If
That'd
you
be
can,
nice.
great.
Sorry?
That would be nice.
Rob, you want me, this is Jeff Assett. You want me to jump in and just give you a quick overview why we're here?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so Jeff Assett here. So a stormwater permit and an order of conditions was issued for this project back in June 2021. The project is a new home being constructed at 42 Rust Way. They've been under construction for a little while now. They're nearing completion, but those permits expire in June. So we're here seeking an extension to complete the project.
Jeff, you mentioned that they were approved. Who were they approved by?
Well, a stormwater permit and an order of conditions were both issued by the Conservation Commission. Oh, actually, this case might have been a superseding order of conditions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we did not issue the stormwater permit or the notice of the order of conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if
Correct.
you remember the history with this one, but I have an order of conditions issued June 22nd, 2021 of an approval from the Conservation Commission. So I don't know if the applicant reapplied.
Yeah, I'm unclear about that.
I think what might have happened is it went to DEP and DEP sent it back to the commission and we reapplied. That does sound correct.
Okay, I can
So we-
pull up the order, but we did issue one June 22nd, 2021. So it seems like the applicant reapplied.
Okay.
Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah, Charlotte, it's signed by the commission, right?
Yeah, hold on one sec, sorry. I have a billion things open.
I bought the property, well, my partner and I off the previous owner, Mike Stevens. So in June, we didn't own it.
I don't know why this is not, hold on, sorry, give me 1 second.
So can I just, while you're looking for that, can I ask, have there been any modifications to the plan since you started construction?
No,
And is the retaining wall in the front, is that in place yet? or is it going to be in place?
Sorry, hello?
Can you hear me? Hello? Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, the retaining wall
Now,
isn't,
sorry, I'm just having bad connection here. I'm gonna switch my Wi-Fi.
Chris, the retaining wall has been constructed.
Charlotte, have you been out to look at the property?
Not yet, but I can pull it up on Near Map if you would like to see it. But yeah, this is the order that we issued. Yeah, it looks like the applicant reapplied.
Okay. So we haven't been out to look at it. Why, first of all, why 3 years?
We requested that kind of by default, but we were talking about that before the meeting. And a year and a half, a year would do. A year and a half would be safe.
Okay. So I'm a little, since has anybody been out to inspect this? Do you know whether John's been out to do his regular inspections on this? Charlotte?
Recently, I'm not sure, but he did go out to inspect the foundation for the home a while back. I don't think Rob, has he been back for the wall? I don't know if the wall needed his inspection, but I know John was definitely out there for the home.
You know, Morse Engineering did a foundation as built as well.
John, the building inspector?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's been out there. Yeah, because we're already doing the finished trim. The house should be done hopefully within 2 to 3 months. So yeah, John's been out here quite a lot, actually.
Oh, okay.
And what happened? Oh, hello.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So what happened is we have purchased my partner and I have purchased the property off of Mike Stevens. So by the time we purchased it, there was some delay until we started, and then there was some ledge issues, so that kind of delayed the actual foundation to get in the construction. But then in the meantime, we sold the house, so there has been some customized inside the house. So that's kind of delayed it on our end a little bit.
Okay, so is what we see on your map consistent with the plans that were submitted, Charlotte? Did you have a chance to look at that?
Pull up the plans,
Or,
but
or any commissioners, actually?
It looks pretty substantially the same.
Great, okay.
I mean, the only concern I would have is that the retaining wall out front was immediately adjacent to the 50-foot buffer. And so Charlotte, I just say that you should make a site visit at some point and just make sure
Yeah.
that the 50-foot hasn't been violated at all, and whatever has to be done in order to improve that if necessary to make sure that gets reseeded and whatever has to happen.
Charlotte, when were the wetlands for this originally approved project?
the wetlands,
They delineated.
let's see. Looking in the plan notes.
Jeff, do you know when the
2020,
2020?
the plan to the 2021 NOI was resubmitted in 2021. And then the delineations were October 2020. This is I think a couple years ago, Chris, we had approved a minor change request for just a slightly different house footprint that was, I think, 10% smaller than the original approved one. That's why we approved it administratively, because it was a smaller house footprint. And no work was proposed in the 50 originally or with this slightly updated footprint. So that was, yeah, no variance because there's no work in the 50.
Any further comments or questions, commissioners?
What is the blue line on this plan?
Yeah,
You go up,
Yeah, we don't normally do that, but it looks like it's an offset to that 50 foot buffer. Maybe showing to help show the relation between the originally approved house and the modified one and shown in green that was approved back in 2022.
wait a minute, there's a leader there that says it's the limit of the vegetated wetland. Scroll, there we go, keep scrolling.
This is the BVW. So this
Wow.
one, this blue one's the wetland. And then the red's the 50, green's the 100. I'm trying to figure out what this other blue line is.
The other blue one is the same symbology as the Mr. Zimmer's wetland boundary. What's the story here? There must be another leader on this somewhere.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
No, I think we just added that as an offset. It's the setback distance from the 50 to the house, just to better show the relationship between.
Well, why is it all the way around?
they're offsetting the 50, they just offset the 50-foot buffer.
This is where a clean drawing with no extraneous stuff on it, Jeff, would help us immensely.
There, it looks like it's another buffer zone line and it might be like a 60-foot thing. Because the red is definitely 50 feet out and this is mirroring the 50-foot buffer. So it looks like it could be another 10 feet. I'm not sure why we had that on the plans, but maybe that was a request from the commission to look at an additional limit of, the buffer in relation to the work. That's what this looks like, because it's not labeled.
We've never asked for anything like that in the past that I'm aware of.
No, I know, I've never seen this before, but it's
Well, don't-
following the 50-foot buffer
Charlotte,
line.
don't offer, let's not speculate.
Was there any work occurring
that-
inside that line? It looks like they're outside of it anyways, whatever it is.
Yeah, Charlotte's right on though. That's exactly what it is. It's just an offset to that 50-foot buffer. I'm sure we were using that when we were placing the new footprint in green, so that comparing it to the setback to the originally approved house.
Well, just as a cartographic matter, Jeff, you guys should not use the same symbology for two different issues.
Sure.
And again, I keep encouraging you guys to leave most of the stuff that doesn't concern us off your plans, so we don't encounter confusion here.
Yep. Okay.
So any further comments or questions?
No.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the extension of this NOI?
I'll make a motion to approve 3-year extension to NOI 21-14 and 42 Russ Way.
Do I have a
3
second?
years? Wasn't it 1 year and a half? Or 3? I don't know.
That's what they said. That's what they said they need, but
Right.
might as well just have it.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Second.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on this. Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, I.
Valeria Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, I. That motion passes 6-0-0. And let's see here, we also have to, is the stormwater permit involved here?
Water permit didn't have an expiration date at
Oh,
the
yeah.
time.
Yeah, okay, right. So the public hearing for NOI 2114, 42 Rust Way is now closed.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You too. Thanks.
Next, we're going to resume the public hearing for NOI 2413, 100 Beach Street. They're going to replace an in-ground pool and remove pavement.
Hi, Caroline.
Good evening, Caroline. For the record, Caroline Reese, Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. With me tonight, I believe I see homeowner Chris Pine of 100 Beach Street, Sean Papich is Sean Papich Landscape Architect.
Yes, thank you.
Jason Beal is the architect, and I believe
Okay.
he's as well. Would you like me to share the screen?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
And actually, Caroline, before you get started, could Sean and Jason please just say your names and affiliations for the record, please? Sean and Jason, sorry.
Jason Beal.
Sean Papich Landscape Architecture, 222 North Street, Hingham, Massachusetts.
Jason, you want to come back and identify who you're with?
Yes, I'm with myself. I'm an architect, Jason Beal.
Okay, with that, I'll offer a brief introduction to the project. Can everyone see my screen of the site plan?
Yes.
Zoomed in, thank you. Okay, the lot is approximately 8,700 square feet. We're at 100 Beach Street, private residential property. 70,000 square feet of that's above mean high water. Real briefly, I can zoom out. North is generally up. We have a little harbor here, basically to the east, private residential properties to the north and south, on the other side of Beach Street, and then Keene Street cuts in on this corner. On the site for resource areas, we have Coastal Bank in this dark black line, and we have land subject to coastal storm flowage associated with AE elevation 11. Beyond that, we have with the wetland flags, this is our bordering vegetated wetlands, and they actually, I'm sorry, curl around on the neighboring property. So they extend onto the property from this northern side as well as this eastern side. And there's salt marsh beyond the bordering vegetated wetlands. And the owners propose to remove an existing two-story decking system that's cantilevered and in disrepair, replace it with a more robust, slightly larger structure on piles, 20 piles, 15 of which secure into visible ledge, 5 hit the lawn and will likely hit ledge. They also request to remove a pool. The house is a little bit of an unusual layout. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I can show a picture, but this section of the house is roofed. The first story is open with stone arches and there's a pool underneath, but the sides are open to the northeast and southwest. And there's a exposed pool there, at least by open sides, and a second story above. And they propose to remove the pool under here, and I believe it's a concrete pavement around it, replace it with a pool that they prefer out in the sun, partially over this wood deck here. It's a 32 by 16 square foot pool. And kind of in, as a concession, if you will, there's a lot of pavement on the property. There's a circular driveway and a parking area over here and here. And they are offering to take out pavement in kind. So the proposed work increases the impervious area by about 765 square feet. We're proposing to remove the same amount of pavement and a concrete walkway closest to these buffer areas, replace it with mitigation plantings here, the rest with, natural lawn or grasses. So the net increase in impervious area is 0. With that, no trees are proposed for removal. We propose a silt sock and fence combination around the limit of work and silt socks around the material stockpiling areas. Construction vehicles, we say the primary entrance will be along this driveway since it's farther from the resource area. When necessary, there's also a paved driveway on this kind of northwest side that would be used as secondary only as needed. And I guess with that, I'll return it for questions. There's a lot there.
Charlotte, have you been out there to look at it?
Yeah, this one I have. I can pull up photos if it helps, but as Caroline mentioned, the proposed pool is partially within an existing deck footprint. And Caroline, I don't know if the commission wants to see it, I'll just note that Caroline did propose and show some alternatives as part of the variance request for the work in the 50. The deck, is going to be, it's a tricky spot where the deck is going. So I can show pictures just so you guys can get a visual of that. But it looks like the work is not crossing the 50-foot buffer to the salt marsh, but it is in the 50-foot buffer to the coastal banks.
If I may, yeah, all work is outside the 50-foot buffer to the BVW and salt marsh is beyond that.
Could we see?
So you're straying outside of the footprints of the existing wooden deck
Correct.
by a substantial amount by the looks of things.
Yeah, about 400 of the 700 square feet. We want to leave a little distance from the footprint of the dwelling. The pool under the second story dwelling is really not ideal. I mean, we didn't take credit for that, obviously, because it's covered by a roof. But Sean, maybe you could speak to proposed mitigation plantings to create a buffer here around it. But the 50-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetlands are the green lines, and that's the 100-foot buffer. So away from those resource areas.
Yes, that we're staying out of the 50 of the BBW buffer. It's a really odd, funny semi-covered. It's a covered pool, very narrow with hardly any walkway around it. Undercover with railings. It's just kind of a really almost feels like a dangerous feature to even walk around. The intent was to use as much of the deck as we possibly could, as well as then take away lawn area, which is what we're primarily doing in that area. And then lifting up a corner of it with retaining wall and adding native plants along the slope and on both sides of the walkway that goes to the dock or the stairs or where the dock is currently staying. We did look at a couple of other options. One option was further to the west, but it was kind of over in the area of the garage. It was just kind of while it may have been further out of the 100, it was further out of the 100 to the it was further out of the 100 to the BBW, but it was oddly located with the site, and it was probably going to require even more hardscape to get to it. So we felt like this was the most sensible region and place to put it. Looked at other areas around the property, but we have a lot of existing ledge and a lot of existing trees in the front yard and setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So none of those seem to really make sense either.
Commissioners?
Sean,
Can
what's
we-
what is the grade? Can you zoom in on the grading a little bit just around the patio, the pool?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Barely.
That drop.
That better? One more?
It's pretty. Yeah.
So is that a 15 contour or is that a 5? That's a 15.
That's
15, correct.
There, Chris is
Okay.
a 15. So in the corner, it gets to be a little bit tallish wall, around 6 feet, but at the ends, it's about 15 inches. Yeah, on the ends, about 15 inches tall.
The grade continues to rise up to the top of the stair area. Is that right?
Correct, yes, yes.
Correct.
And what's the material on that?
On the wall,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be a fieldstone wall. Or a granite, split granite, either one.
Okay, now could I ask you to go to the area where you're gonna remove
Certainly.
paving?
You want
So
to-
is there pavement being removed underneath that mitigation area?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, this whole hatch area, 700, we made it in kind, so we're removing, and this walkway, 765. And reshaping that driveway to just fit 2 cars here.
Right.
It's adding 30 feet from the resource areas.
And the mitigation planting is mitigating what?
well, we were just counting it for square footage that we're using, and increasing for the rear area. If that's safe to say it that way. That's, it's, maybe calling it mitigation is the wrong way, in terms
Well,
of,
if it's truly mitigation, it needs to be within the buffer zone. Because otherwise, there's nothing that says someone can't take it out tomorrow.
oh, correct, it is in buffer zones.
To
Well, it's
coastal
not,
bank.
it's not because it's outside the 100.
I mean,
It's within. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
it is
So
in,
so if I just interject, we seem to be forgetting that there's a 50-foot buffer zone to the coastal bank and a 100-foot buffer zone also to the coastal bank. So there's a good deal of work that's going to go on within the 50-foot buffer to the coastal bank and the 100 for the coastal bank and the wetland. So it seems like that's being sort of played down. We have 2 buffer zones here.
correct,
Mhm.
correct, two buffer zones. The
Can you
bank,
pull up the alternate that you provided the commission, the drawing?
Correct, sure. This is a very, oh, that's showing the 2 locations. Is that what you want?
yep,
Yeah,
For
that's
the
it.
pool?
Did you provide another one? This is the one I was thinking of, but
correct, yeah.
so what was the this is a significant reduction in the buffer zone.
No.
It's you said there was it would be too difficult to access.
No, I think one of the things that we were dealing with is we weren't making use of some of our existing square footage of deck that we have there, and I know that it's getting more out of the 100, excuse me, to the BBW. But it's also, we'd be bringing more hardscape in to it on the sides. It's right up against a driveway. It's a little bit of an odd location for it too, from a site planning.
These plantings.
And
Well, can you explain that better? Like, I don't know, like the proposed location, you have a retaining wall and stuff like that. Like, why is that less or more than the alternate location?
one of the things that we have is, on the proposed location, we are going to work over the top of footprint of an existing deck.
That's-
So felt like that was making good use of that space, given that it was already utilized. The rest of the alternative location is essentially a non-impervious surface right now. It's non-structure right now, so it's kind of entirely new. We'd also have some hardscape around it, some sort of terrace area around it, which would certainly add up beyond what you see there. That's just the square, I think. Isn't that just the,
That's just the pool and coping. I just used the
Yeah.
same area and shifted it.
yeah.
And I didn't fully understand this pool concept. So there's a pool under the
Yeah,
structure
Yeah,
that gets filled in and then a new pool on the side, or?
yeah, there's an existing, pool that's this,
Like a picture?
yeah, it's kind of a quasi.
Yeah.
lap.
Actually, the existing pool is irrelevant to our conversation. So
Yeah,
that-
because it's
that-
covered.
It has no bearing on either our decision or the
But
proposed.
filling it in, isn't it in a protected area in the coastal bank zone? Like, so you'll be doing work to fill it in or something, like there's an impact there to the coastal bank buffer zone, right?
Well, not really. It's covered right now. It's under
There's a
cover.
roof over it.
There wouldn't really be any impact at all.
So again, the existing pool is irrelevant to the application here. So let's focus on really the alternatives. I don't see an alternative that pulls, you said this is a very large lot. I don't remember the square
Mhm.
footage, but it was pretty big. And I see a rear yard pool alternative. I don't see a front yard pool alternative, in which case all of this would be outside of all of the buffers.
Yes, we did. I did a write-up real briefly on one. This is for the front yard number 1. I don't know if you can read it. This was a supplemental with the in response to agent comments. So of course, the location front exposure to the street, but there are also I can show pictures, extensive hardscaping in the front, plantings, throughout the front. It's a pretty intricate site. There's a little lawn over here, but steep, and there are mature trees there. And then there's all ledge. Here's your driveway, that U-shape. And this is all ledge and kind of this rockscaping, hardscaping that they'd like to protect. But there's a lot of ledge.
Yeah, existing ledge. Yeah, existing ledge and existing trees seem to be hindering that, as well as front yard building setbacks. If you really are trying to
Yeah.
put it in your driveway loop, which beyond being challenged by building setbacks is from a site planning standpoint is not something we'd propose to have the pool located right on the beach street, right at the edge of the building setback, even though we can't really fit it in there anyway. But it's difficult.
No, Mr. Chair, sorry to cut in, but we are kind of at that rough 15-minute mark. Just
Yeah.
trying to be mindful of time here.
So let me ask one more time if commissioners have any further.
Is there a
Valerio,
generator
oh.
being in, is there a generator associated with this project? as well? Did I see that?
No generator being added.
No, there's an existing generator, but nothing being added.
And the
One-
mechanicals for the pool, where will they be?
Probably under the house still where they are.
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking?
Probably, but you don't have a plan for that?
Well, it's under the house. Yes, under the house, I think, as they are stored now. Probably utilize the same connect, right, correct?
It'd be in the station.
Yes.
So
in the
one thing
garage.
I've noticed is the 700 or so square feet of, mitigation removal of impervious is all outside of the 50, whereas the additional 700 is all within the 50 to the coastal bank. And so is there anything else that, we can do? Because it doesn't really net out, right? If they're on opposite sides of that 50-foot line, right? So anyway, that was one
Correct.
thing I noticed. And the other thing is maybe, just as far as the plans are concerned, just because it's been sort of a relevant topic recently for the board, for the commission, any plan that we approve, let's make sure we draw in where the mechanicals for the pool are in fact going to be, so that we can, have those as part of the actual approved plan set. But the netting out of the 700 plus square feet it doesn't really seem to net out exactly anyway. I thought I'd point that out, and I don't know if the more seasoned members of the board might have any further comment based on that.
I'd
There
like to,
was-
for the alternate, it's kind of a side note that it would require more hardscaping, but it's not really illustrated in the drawing of the alternate location. Whereas it seems the wood deck would provide access. I'd be interested in seeing a little bit more detail to that alternate,
To
just
that
because it seems to be a better option from our perspective with less impact to the buffer. It's hard for me to really see the,
Yeah, that was a rudimentary study. We have
Understood.
steep slopes here and plantings here, so I imagine it would need a retaining wall. Sean, maybe you could speak to what it would
So I
need.
think since we're at the over the 15-minute mark, it's pretty clear that we want to see some, a more detailed alternative here. We also want to see where the pool mechanicals will be so that when we have an approved plan, there's no ambiguity about where these things go. The issue of where you mitigate is a concern.
Mhm.
And I guess from my perspective, you are mitigating within a buffer, but maybe not the same one. So I'm not sure how relevant that is. So I think you should take all of those comments and any further ones. This is your last chance, commissioners, to
Yeah.
take that back.
Maybe a simple
shop and
table.
See what you can do.
Maybe a simple table to show what you're offsetting and what the puts and takes are. And that's what I was struggling with to try to understand very clearly.
Within each buffer zone, within the coastal bank, I have the coastal bank here, but, sure, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. As far as alternative, okay.
It is illustrated, there in a table. I mean, that's typically what we do, so that is shown there, Carolyn, you have it.
Yeah.
Um,
If I may, just the only tough thing is, we looked at this, there's not much else to remove besides the house. It's really just the house within the coastal bank. Our thought was removing pavement. This is within the coastal bank, at least we're moving cars farther away, which carry, potentially a higher pollutant load. I know that's not the same, but this is part of the roof and the structure. There's primarily structure. We can look at it more, but within that 50 to coastal bank, there's not much to remove. We can take a second look at that, but it's really just the dwelling there.
Well, other alternatives could be a smaller pool. I mean, there's other, I think there's other options that could be explored.
Mhm.
Is there a directive that that it's a no-go to where we have it located right now?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but I think that you've offered your alternative as more of a straw man than a serious alternative.
Okay.
And so I'd like to see you guys flesh that out and see what you can do here in terms of offering a viable alternative. But I don't see that it's necessarily that I don't think we would necessarily reject the existing location. I just don't feel that you've proposed a serious alternative here for us to consider.
Question for you on the deck. I know there hasn't been commentary on it. Not that I want to get into a long commentary because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I also don't want Jason to come back the next time and find out you may have commentary on that.
Yeah.
If it may help, Sean, you read my mind. If it may help, I can show the site photos because the deck area is very tight. So for a visual, that might be helpful, unless the commission just wants to look at the photos on their own time. But yeah, I second Sean's question about does the commission have any comments about the deck?
Yeah, why don't you show your photos because we don't want to send them off with an incomplete checklist. That doesn't serve anybody's interests here.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is the pool, just for reference here, what it looks like.
Irrelevant.
Sorry.
Let's not look at irrelevant stuff.
Yep. It might take a little bit to load, but try to get to a picture of the deck. There we go. It's coming into focus, but you guys can kind of get the idea.
I'm not sure what we're looking at here. What part of the house is this?
Sorry, it's coming into focus. This is the existing home.
I see. Perched on bedrock.
Mm-hmm.
How much fill is going to take place here?
Islands, right?
Oh, wait a minute. How much fill is going to take? How much are you guys going to fill here? How tall is that retaining wall?
Wouldn't be filling, you wouldn't, well, the retaining wall for the pool is just for the pool.
Yeah,
The photo
area.
this photo that you're looking at is actually where the higher deck is that's on piles that's pinned to the structure. The pool is behind us in this photo.
Yeah,
So this picture is where the deck is that wraps around the house.
yeah, okay, I can see that on the,
Right, so you can see the curve in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah.
That's the existing lower deck. For reference, that curve is shown on the plans of the
So-
lower deck.
what's the elevation of the pool? Oh, okay, so this is,
down there.
Yeah.
okay, so this is where the pool's gonna go.
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay.
and it slopes off pretty steeply to the right, it looks like, so how much fill are you gonna put in here? How tall are those walls gonna be?
So the one wall at its tallest point, the furthest out, it's about 6 feet and it goes to 1.25 feet when it returns back to the deck.
Okay.
And so it's, yeah, it drops down there pretty quickly.
So you're gonna fill in the buffer zone.
Well, I think that picture, I mean, we can look at the topography. That first one was a little misleading. I think this shows it better. This is the pool area. These plantings are right off the existing deck.
Yep.
So it drops farther over. Yeah, it's,
Just behind the camera here, or to the right of it.
Okay, so I'd suggest that you should also return with an estimate, how many cubic yards of fill you're gonna put in here and how tall, how much above the existing grade is going to, those retaining walls are going to be,
mhm.
so we get some notion of how well this is gonna fit into the topography.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, it wouldn't be a concern if you weren't in a buffer zone, but you are. So I think we want to, I want to see that in any case.
Cubic yards of fill.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and the maximum height above grade, the greatest height above grade for the stone retaining wall.
We have that on there. So we'll keep it on there.
Okay, you want to run back to the?
We won't remove it. We won't take it off there.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. If it's there, you don't need to show me right now. So
That's fine.
it's already there, great. And, okay, so you got your list of pool mechanicals,
Yeah,
topographic change, a serious alternative, or at least one that's got the same level of detail that your favored plan has, and we should be good.
Nothing with the deck then.
What's that?
Nothing with the deck then. You're all good. Sorry to push the issue.
Didn't hear you.
Well,
Understanding the deck again, like it's
that's a good thing.
cantilevered off the house, right? Is that what you said?
What was that, sir?
Was it it's cantilevered off the house today, but you're planning on replacing that and putting it on posts? Is that how to understand the deck?
That's
That's
correct.
correct, right, Jason?
That's correct.
correct.
So the retaining wall is not the limit of work?
Retaining wall doesn't involve the deck at all. Retaining wall does not involve.
So the deck's gonna overhang.
The deck is completely on piles. It's a separate issue than the pool. The pool is lower on grade and has retaining walls, but the deck that wraps around the house is either pinned to the existing granite ledge or on precast piles. So there's no retaining for any of the proposed deck.
Yeah,
The only retaining what you're talking about is in the northeast corner of the pool hardscape area. That would be the only retaining wall area, but that has to do with the new proposed pool, not with the actual deck that's on the architectural plans.
Commissioners, do you have any further instructions for the applicant to add to their proposal? No. Okay, with that, we'll request that you grant an extension here, and we cannot do it at our next meeting. We are slammed, absolutely slammed next time. So when's the next available date for this, Charlotte?
So the next one, not counting June 6th, is June 20th.
June 20th. Is that acceptable to the applicant?
And it has to.
Yeah.
all due respect.
We appreciate it as soon as
Buddy.
possible. Thanks.
Sorry, Chris, and again, kind of has to be.
It seems, we understand.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, morale will,
I have to state it that way, you know, I mean,
I understand.
I can't grant you, I can't enforce
I
I
appreciate it.
continuation, so,
Mhm.
Thanks.
okay, great.
Great.
May I, is it still open?
Yeah,
If we were to get in our material within a week and a spot was to open, would that be acceptable? I think we get modified.
I'd say
Just
maybe
as
if three,
backup, alternative.
Carolyn, I would say that if 3 or 4 spots were to open, you're sure to get in.
You never
Yeah,
know.
Caroline, the unfortunate thing is we just got, I think, 8 or 9 new submissions, and there's already at least 7 continued items. So I think if a lot of the continued items get pushed off, how about I give you a call?
Sounds good.
All right, but we'll say 6:20 for now.
Okay,
All right.
so, the public hearing for NOI 2413 is continued, 100 Beach Street is continued until June
20th.
20th, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So next is the resumption of the public hearing for NOI 2414, 159 Atlantic Avenue. You want to add a gravel driveway? Bring them on,
Give
Charlotte.
me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm promoting people. Where is he? Where's Brendan? Oh, there he is. When people raise their hand, it moves everybody up in the line, so I can't click fast enough.
Good evening.
Hi, Brendan.
How you doing?
I'm promoting Charlie and Ginevra Higginson, the applicants.
Okay,
And then for anyone in the audience here for this hearing, we'll go through the presentation first, and we'll go through commissioner comments, and then we'll go through public comments. So we'll get to you guys in a moment. And Brendan, is there anybody else for this project?
I don't think so. I don't think,
Okay.
I think the Higgins son was maybe gonna be on there, but I don't
Okay.
think Phil made it, so,
I'll look for him.
okay. But in the meantime, I can get going. For the record, Brendan Sullivan with Merrill Associates here representing the applicants, Charlie and Ginevra Higginson of 159 Atlantic Ave. The project is actually off of Lothrop Lane. Nobody knows what Lothrop Lane is. It's on the corner of Atlantic Ave, just before Hobart Lane, across from like Meadow Lane. It's a small paved roadway. The lot that the proposed driveway is from was recently subdivided from the planning board. For resource areas, we have, so at this corner of Lothrop Lane down here, you get views out to the beach out here. And for resource areas, there's a drainage ditch, which I'll get into. There's also we have a number of FEMA flood zones that for this property, really they're just AO zones. There's an AO 2 feet and there's an AO 3 feet up in this area here. It's a approximately 24,000 square foot lot. The drainage ditch, which I spoke of, is it basically picks up drainage from over on Hobart Lane, the end of Hobart Lane, where really there's no drainage in that part of Hobart Lane. There's a few leaching catch basins, and then there's some drainage, low areas, and some backyard areas. That gets collected and comes through this pipe, which is piped over to this area, and then the pipe daylights on the Higginson's property, meanders around their lawn, and comes to this another pipe, which discharges out to Sandy Cove. It's very similar to the other side of Sandy Cove, which is, where Treats Pond. It's kind of the same situation as over there, where there's, it's very low area. It's hard to drain. And the pipe, the Higginsons have gotten permission through conservation a number of years ago to extend the pipe and also to maintain the pipe. So Charlie's out there, I don't know how many times a year, but between him and Hap Pompeo, they're out there digging out the sand to allow this pipe to discharge. Because if it doesn't, it obviously is going to flood not only their yard, but then it backs up into the yards over on Hobart Lane. So the trench is the ditch is maintained by the Higginsons, routinely cleared out cleared out of all vegetation and debris and stuff that gets caught in there. So what we're proposing is a driveway access to the buildable portion of the lot, which is up in this area here. And it's we're proposing a gravel drive, 12-foot wide gravel drive. Really not much change in grade at all. So all the runoff from the adjacent properties that run across and go across the lawn into the ditch will maintain and do that. So we have approximately 1,000 square feet of the gravel driveway within the 50-foot buffer. So we have approximately just over 1,000 square feet of mitigation plantings on the other side of the ditch, which is currently like a mowed lawn area. Where the driveway is going, there's a debris and compost pile here. Some of that has already been removed or burned off from the end of the burn season. There's some overgrown privet in here. There's also a larger 36-inch cedar tree here. There's 3 holly trees that range in size from 10 to 12 or 15 inches that were planted by the Higginsons. The Higginsons are avid gardeners throughout the property. They have a number of trees and garden areas on the property as well. So the reason, as opposed to the driveway coming along the property line and getting away from the 50-foot buffer as much as possible, we're trying to go around the trees and meander around the trees and vegetation and still get to the buildable portion of the lot. We have gotten a number of letters from the abutters. I think everybody knows that the Higgins are fairly aware of the drainage issue for the lot, for the drainage ditch that captures the water from Hobart Lane. They're certainly well aware of that. And you know, we don't believe that and the reason why we're doing the driveway is to gain access, as I said, to the buildable portion of the lot. In the event that I'm assuming that the Higginsons are gonna, you know, put the lot on the market, so that we're not proposing a house at this time. So for the prospective buyer, will have the burden of, you know, permitting and constructing the house on the lot. So I think that's really about it. I'll open it up for questions.
Charlotte, you have any comments before we commissioners dig in here?
Yes, so just a quick reference, the lot, Brendan, I'm sorry if you mentioned this already, but the lot was split through an A&R with planning board. So that happened before this submission. And then in terms of the lot size, Brendan, you might know a little bit more about this, but I believe it was a zoning thing in terms of the average size of the lot in this residence. I think it's zone C, had to be 60,000 square feet, but then that has recently changed. But I believe this just made the cut before that change happened. Is that correct, Brendan?
Yes,
in terms of the size of the lot?
Yes, we went through planning board and planning board conferred with town council, and that was indeed the case, that it was under a provision in the zoning bylaw. If you have a 120,000 square foot lot, you can peel off 20,000 square foot lots, as long as the average is greater than 60,000. And that was the case here.
Thank you. Yeah. And then, so in terms of some of my comments, which Brendan and his team had addressed, there's just a few pending ones. They are going to be working with South River Environmental to come out to the site and delineate the wetland resource areas. The drainage ditch and the buffers you see here, I believe, Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, but were taken from a previous ANRAD delineation on an abutting property. So we just have to have those resource areas surveyed again by a wetland scientist, and that will be updated on the plans. I did walk the site with the Higginsons, and we walked through the limit of work and the proposed area for the gravel driveway. Looking at the plans versus where they're proposing it, it does look like we'll need to survey some locations of trees that need to be shown on the plans more than what's already shown. So Brendan, I'm happy to work with you on that. We should be able to hopefully save a lot of the trees in the buffer zones. There might be a couple at the beginning that might need to get taken out, but the cedar tree that's already there and a few other larger trees that are in the proximity of the work will need to be shown on the plans. And then the mitigation planting area is on 159 Atlantic Ave. It's on the abutting property. I couldn't find any rules that says that's allowed or not allowed. So I think it'll just be up to the commission. So I just wanted to note that. And I believe that was one of the comments from the abutters as well. That's pretty much it for a lot of my comments. Mr. Chair, I'll definitely try to summarize some abutter comments, and then I'm sure they'll have questions as well in the audience if you want to get to that in a bit.
Sure, let's let the commissioners have a turn at this.
Sorry, I heard bits of the tree removal. I don't see it on the plan. How many trees are proposed to be removed?
Really none. It's really, this is a lawn and brush area, and this is so this is an overgrown privet hedge, which is in amongst the holly trees and 36-inch cedar tree here. So as far as, I mean, trees over 12 inches, we're not taking down any.
Yeah, Brendan, there was a small tree right past the line that says wood and gravel. That may or may not need to come out. So that was
Okay.
one location. But I think the rest of it, we didn't see other trees, but one of the other, I'm sorry, I forgot this comment. One of my other comments was just putting in additional tree protection barriers around those trees that are close to the gravel driveway.
Okay, certainly.
Can you explain what the entry is there? It says gravel wood chips.
Yeah, so it's an existing, it's where they park there. They have a small motorboat and a sailboat that they park there currently. It's right now it's a wood chip area. I think there was some compost pile there maybe as well that has been removed, but the substrate of it is a gravel area where they typically park their boats.
So that will be part of the gravel driveway?
Yes, that'll be the entrance to the driveway.
Okay. And this project doesn't need a stormwater permit?
No, we're less than 5,000 square feet of disturbance, and there's no impervious coverage proposed. Certainly the house, I'm sure, will need a stormwater permit unless they plan on building a much smaller structure, but
Well, by the time they're done building the house, that gravel driveway won't be impervious anymore.
well, we can certainly maintain that. We can give you we do have a detail of the pervious driveway. It's similar to what we've done in other projects where we have clean gravel and then we have 3 inches of 3/4 inch crushed stone on top. So we call it a gravel. It's not your typical gravel like dirt gravel driveway. It's a crushed stone driveway.
Okay.
So these stones on top, as trucks go over them, might penetrate into some of the substrate, but with it being maintained, it'll still be considered pervious.
Okay. Thank you.
So looking ahead, of course, I'm not always comfortable looking at driveways that go in before we see the whole project. So what's the rationale for putting a driveway in here?
Well, just to give a buyer some comfort that there's access to the lot through conservation. We know we're up against, we're in a 50-foot buffer, a really sensitive area. We just want to make sure we have access to the buildable portion of the lot.
Would this be a limited project?
Limited in what sense?
Not right now, because it's not going through a wetland or a stream or anything like that. It is the entrance to the driveway is staying within the buffer zone.
Yeah, okay. So being in the buffer doesn't necessarily mean that make it a limited project. Has to actually attempt to cross a resource, right?
Yes, and I don't think land subject to coastal storm flow, which counts for that, but yes, you have to, in order for it to be a limited project, there has to be no way of accessing the road, that's not through a wetland. So if there's an upland, even a buffer zone, but an upland option, you have to take it.
And help me out, Charlotte, but are we confident that these are the right buffer delineations? Or it sounds like you said at the beginning that they need to be reviewed, right?
Correct. I think, I don't think this is, I don't think we can officially say this is what we're looking at right now. So that's why Merrill will be working with a wetland scientist to look at everything, flag it again, and just establish that those buffer zones are accurate. And if there's any other resource areas in the proximity of the work or on the lot.
So no matter what, we can't really consider a vote to approve or deny without having a valid wetlands delineation.
Correct. Was there a statement that that the boats are on existing driveway?
Yeah, the boats were parked are parked in this area up here, which is the gravel wood chip
Is
area.
that's the extent of it, and what you show as gravel wood chips, that solid line?
Yes, yep, this area right here.
And what could be offered in terms of mitigation and for what's being taken up, at least in the 50? I see it south of the driveway, it looks like lawn. Is there any possibility of replacing that with a vegetated
Like in this area here, adjacent to the.
Yes.
So I was thinking of that, and that's the reason why I put some of the mitigation on the other side of the brook, the ditch. So they have to maintain
Is that on this? Is that on the lot? It's not on the lot, is it?
Well, this is the whole property. This lot, both lots are owned by the Higginsons right now. This lot with the tennis court on it and the mitigation is part of the larger parcel 159 Atlantic.
But it doesn't necessarily go with the owners of adjacent lots. That's a separate lot. It's a standalone lot, right? That's what the A&R did. It created a new lot.
The A&R did, yeah, but a deed has not been transferred yet, so it's all in a single one deed and one ownership right now.
I see. So you're proposing to do this before the deed is changed.
I think we've seen similar proposals but not to refer to other necessary. I feel like we're talking about a lot, even if it's currently under the same owner. It seems that it's separate. It will be separate anyways.
So the notice of intent was
Creating
159 Atlantic, which is going to include the entire property. It's not going to be just for the 24,000 square foot lot. It's under the Higginsons, which it's under one deed right now, and that includes the entire property.
Mr. Chair, we are at the 15-minute mark. I know we'd probably have some questions in the audience too. Just wanted to note the time.
Yeah. So we do need to kind of speed this up. This is again one of those situations where we don't know what's going to happen here after were we to approve this, suddenly we're locked into something here without seeing the big picture. I'm not real comfortable with that.
Well, we're trying
by doing this incrementally, where the commission is denied the ability to review the entire development of this lot. And it puts us in a box.
Well, I mean, I know you guys are, you're also under the stormwater control, but really this is just, we wanted to provide access, as I said, to the buildable portion of the lot to make sure. We the Higginsons don't want to sell the lot and say, oh, you're in charge of conservation, and then and then you come by and say, well, we can't provide you access through there, you have to get access somewhere else.
Well,
You
we're
know,
not in the business of
so-
pre-approving construction or development here. And that seems to be the direction that we're being steered.
Well, no, I mean, it's not like the house is gonna be under your jurisdiction. It will be stormwater wise, but not under notice of intent if they
Okay.
go and build this
Okay, for your
driveway.
notice, so at the very least, for your notice of intent, we need a current wetlands delineation.
Yes, and I'll get that. John Zimmer's reviewed it. He reviewed it when he did the Willard Trust at 34 Lothrop next door last year when we did that ANRAD. He reviewed all those resource areas, and he did walk over in this resource area and said, yeah, because I did ask him at that point, I said, is this ditch under the jurisdiction? Because it really is just that, a drainage ditch. And he said, yes, it is going to be under conservation jurisdiction. So we have a call into him and he's going to get that delineated.
Sorry, for the proposed mitigation plantings, is that not in the resource area? So
No,
what-
I mean,
what's there?
it's in the floodplain, but it's not in the ditch runs around it. It's a lawn area on the other side of the on the other side of the ditch. This is all basically a lawn area that goes around the tennis court.
Hey, Charlotte, I think we have a hand
And
raised.
why can't the mitigation go to the south of the driveway on the what will be the new lot?
Like in this
I
area in
didn't get
here,
that.
we could put it in here, but
Yes.
it's we have to get access to the ditch to maintain it, to dig it out, to rake it out, which is done a number of times a year to keep the flow of water going through it. I mean, maybe that is an idea if you guys are uncomfortable with having it on a separate lot. Maybe we do something down in this area or in here to keep it on the same lot. We could certainly do that. But I was just thinking that as far as maintaining it, we got to make sure we maintain the integrity of the ditch.
Well,
and
A
keep
rain
water
garden
going.
would certainly be.
Hey,
Something that could be, you could look at an alternative to, converting it to a rain garden. Something.
I think we have a hand raised, or do we not hear from the person in?
We
Yeah,
haven't gotten to the audience yet.
Private, rain garden, is it possible? Alternative?
Yeah, sure. We could look into a rain garden. That would also help attenuate some of the runoff.
I'd be interested in seeing an alternative like that.
Although the rain garden, it's, we're already at, so this is elevation, you see the elevations here, we're at 6 and 7. We're awful close to, I mean, not that the tide comes up this drainage pipe, but there's certainly, runoff that comes in here and floods this area quite regularly. So when there is a lot of rain, there's this whole lawn area is ponded by water. So yeah, certainly a rain garden would, I don't know if it would functionally work that well with all the water there, but if you think it's better than just the wildflower seed mix, be more than happy to do that.
Okay, to be fair to the abutters, I think we should give them 3 minutes each if they wish to respond.
Okay, so I can start with Bob Hornby at 36 Lothrop Lane, who has his hand raised.
And where is that relative to what we're looking at here?
To the property to the north, I believe, right, Brendan? Yes.
I'm sorry, which one is it?
The 36 Lothrop Lane.
Yes, that's the property up just the north of us.
Okay.
So they're just beyond Lothrop Lane on the left. That's where the drainage pipe comes from the back of their property.
Okay, let's give them 3 minutes.
Hi, Bob.
They submitted a letter, is that right?
They did, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the clock can start as soon as he starts talking.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
Good. Do you want, if you can turn on my video if you want to.
Sure.
So while you're working on that, I'm a trustee of 36 Lothrop Lane. My mother lives there right now. We just have.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Bob. You'd have to turn your video on. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
If you can't do that, no worries.
Lower left corner.
Left. Well, I don't see an option, but, either way. So my mother lives at 36 Lothrop Lane. I'm a trustee of the property. We do have some concerns, that the board's discussed, especially sort of the incremental nature of the development here. And then also just in terms of the flooding, it's noted that there's a drainage pipe. We have concerns that that is of unknown age, or really, it doesn't seem like many people know what it is. We have concerns that if a driveway was put over it, it would, I mean, who knows what would happen? There's been boats parked on it over the years, but, you know, kind of winter storage, fairly, you know, lightweight. We also have concerns the driveway, I mean, it's drawn as a 15 inches of stone and gravel. The applicant has noted this area floods pretty much every time you get heavy rain. And adding that as a dam, I think would have significant effects. And I think it would also mean the driveway itself would be underwater, you know, anytime there's a rain event on this property. And then just the proximity to the way the lot is developed. It kind of seems like they've put themselves in a corner that they're now trying to work their way out of. And we have concerns on that. We've submitted a fairly detailed letter that I think covers hopefully the majority of this. And we thank you for your time.
Specifically, how do you think this would impact the property you're a trustee for?
So the drainage ditch is the principal means when that in heavy rains, that all floods. And that drainage ditch is that's the only drainage to the ocean. If that pipe collapsed, I think it would pretty much flood the entire property. And if you added 15 inches of gravel driveway, it's basically going to create a dam across there that, I mean, eventually the water will get high enough and it'll just wash the gravel, especially if it's non-compacted gravel, it'll end up completely in the drain. You know, it'll just flow downhill. We all know the force of water.
So it looks like runoff from the property you're the trustee of also flows towards that ditch. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Anybody else want to weigh in here, Charlotte?
So I do see some comments in the audience. I can read them, but if the people who provided their comments would also like to raise their hand and talk, I can do that as well. So let me just confirm the addresses here real quick, but I'll read the first one. Let's see. Sorry. So Laura and Brian Murphy of 11 Hobart Lane. Comment from a budding neighbor with easement running through entire subdivision. There is no existing gravel driveway in that location. There never has been since we moved here in 2018. Therefore, this is not an extension of an existing driveway. Recently, brush was cut back and mulch was put down to make a makeshift road. Mr. Chair, do you want Brendan or the applicants to answer that?
Yes, please.
I've always known it as a parking space for the boats. They do have they have a 5-foot easement that we're not going near that lies to the northern portion of the property. I really, I've had a long discussion with Laura on the phone. It was a cordial discussion. I just believe it's, you know, it's gonna ruin her views to the harbor, and it's a not in my backyard assessment of the project.
If she could comment on how her property would be impacted by the driveway, strictly the driveway, that's all we're considering, and how that would impact, and if that impact were in some ways in violation of state and town bylaws.
So
You're unmuted.
she is uphill over here in this lot over
Yes.
here.
Yeah, so I am uphill, and Brendan, you're incorrect. I am uphill, and my views would not be impacted. I'm above that property. I have an easement that runs from my property, goes down, takes a left, and goes all the way up to Lothrop Lane. My family is on that on a regular basis. We're there at night, and it accesses our easements to a beach on Lothrop. It's called Lothrop Beach. It accesses our easement to Sandy Cove and our beach house, beach house on Sandy, not beach house, but cabana on Sandy Cove. I think that this driveway is going dangerously close into my easement. I feel like this is not necessarily a safety issue, but I mean, not a conservation issue, but a safety issue for us. I don't think anyone's done a survey on our easement. I'm not really sure where my easement starts and how 5 feet go, and if that driveway actually is encumbering on my easement. So no, Brendan, I'm not concerned about the views. I'm really concerned about a developed property in that space there as well. And I'm happy to show you a picture of how close all the houses are in that area. You can't see that Lucille's house is right where the N is, and my house is very close to, well, I'd have to show you a picture, but
Well,
so no.
I'm sorry, Miss Murphy.
Yeah.
The encroachment on the easement is not within our jurisdiction.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
So we really can't.
It's just really unfair because we can't even go to zoning about this. And this is the only forum I had to voice my opinion. I wasn't allowed to talk at the ANR. I wasn't allowed to have any opinion. And I feel like this is the only opportunity for neighbors to say anything. So I apologize. Yeah. I am concerned about, I mean, it's a lake, even though there is that drainage right there, that drainage from Lucille's house and from, you know, the paddock and from Chris Powers' house, and that whole area gets flooded during storms. It's still flooded, even though you have a pipe going to the ocean. It's still flooded. And I gave conservation a whole series of pictures that I've taken over the past 6 years, even with ducks floating in it.
You can certainly submit those.
I already did.
Oh, okay.
I submitted them to Charlotte.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, I did forward those. I think, Laura, one of the things that I'm going to suggest, and I'll wait for the third applicant, I'm sorry, a butter to also voice their comments, but I think, you know, based on the detail of the letters that were submitted, I did forward them to Brendan and his team, as well as the applicants and the commission. So it, you know, it would be, you know, good if people had a chance to look those over while we're waiting for
I saw them,
delineations.
and there'll be, you know, whether or not it's wetlands will be, we've already established that there will be a wetlands delineation, so.
Yep.
Right. Well, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
One more, Charlotte? Or
Yep.
one more? Okay.
Oh, where did he just go?
Oh, Charlotte.
Hi, Tony. And yes, I saw your comment about your letter as well. You also had 9 comments. I don't know if you would like to summarize those quickly, but the letter was forwarded to the commission.
Let's identify where his property is relative to.
Yes, sorry. Oh, go ahead, Tony.
I'm representing both 7 and 17 Lothrop Lane, and a couple other family members are on the line as well. But I don't think I can get through 9 questions in 3 minutes. So two things I'd like to, you know, second the chair's concern about the holistic nature of the project. I mean, this is a road that leads to nowhere, and we don't know what's going to happen ultimately. So I don't even know how this can get approved at this state. A lot of the other questions we have and concerns are about water flow, redirection, etc. One thing that occurred to me that maybe could alleviate a number of concerns by abutters is, why can't a driveway come off of Atlantic to enter that lot, potentially sharing the entry point of the current Higginson driveway? That way you're not even dabbling in the wetlands or having any issues with maybe crushing the pipe that's on the Hornsby property, et cetera. So that's it in summation, but you know, we do have concerns. Oh, and one more is, if the retaining pond is on the Higginson's property and they're going to split the lot 2 off, then it's not on lot 2's property. Is that allowable? Then I'll leave it there. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Brendan, you've heard, I think everybody's concerns.
Yep.
And I don't know whether you need to provide an alternative where you don't go through the wetlands, which would mean a shared driveway, it sounds like. We can't see that on the plan here.
Yeah, so that option would be coming out to Atlantic Ave to going over this way, which
Yeah.
has numerous amounts of ledge
Oh,
outcrops
yeah.
over here.
It's pretty steep.
It's pretty steep ledge. There are ledge knobs that go up, 6-8 feet.
Yeah.
And there'd be an enormous amount of tree removal in that area,
Yeah.
probably upwards of 30 trees.
Yeah.
That's why it was, we thought we'd better come in off of Lothrop Lane.
I like the rationale for even needing a driveway before there's a fully developed plan to develop this. I'm just not comfortable with that. Now, obviously, we have to make our decision within the contours of our bylaws. So my discovered may not have any basis in our rules and regulations. So that's just sort of how I feel about it. Is we keep seeing these things where people are bringing us bits and pieces that ultimately then will be fit together somewhere down the line, and we don't know what we're going to end up with. So that I think that if it does anything, it argues for us to be as conservative as we possibly can here.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
Really hold your feet to the fire on this.
Yeah, I think there are alternatives. That was a good point brought up by the abutter. Besides the road of entry directly across from Atlantic, is the paved road south of the tennis court, is that a private driveway, or is that a?
What, this part of Lothrop Lane?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, have you looked at alternatives to access the lot across that way?
No. And when go across the tennis court? Or then would be on the other property.
Right, but Brendan, that's the problem.
Mitigation. So I mean, all of a sudden, you can't have it both ways here. If you're going to mitigate on that property, you might actually grant an easement as well to access it so that you avoid some of these issues.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we have.
Very briefly, so just on the issue of, the piecemeal nature of the approach here, my guess is that this is getting planned so that the property can be, as you explained, so the property can be marketed and sold. But it could be that, after it is sold, a whole new plan comes through, right? So this may not even be the driveway ultimately that's proposed. You're just telling a potential new buyer, look, we have access approved, so you can go ahead and buy this lot. But then they're going to come in and they're going to plan their house, and they're going to plan a new driveway potentially. And basically what we're debating now is just whether this property and this lot can be marketed, because now we're going to approve access. Is that an accurate statement, you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. We're really just, as I stated before and earlier, that we're really just providing access to the buildable portion of the lot and seeing if the Conservation Commission is comfortable enough with this point of access from Lothrop Lane.
But this may not actually be the final built access at the end of the day. It may completely be redone, and
right.
A new plan might be proposed.
The new buyer might want a paved driveway and more stormwater mitigation, and obviously there will be stormwater mitigation with the proposed house and everything else. So maybe they want a paved driveway that's bigger, that has a different access point, or maybe they want to make it a limited access and go over the drainage ditch and provide another filling with the pipe under there. I don't know, but as far as the Higgins is concerned, we're just providing access to a buildable portion of the lot.
So yeah, so I don't know if that militates in favor or against or contributes to the chair's concern or diminishes it. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure I understood what we were talking about here, which is really just making this back lot sort of marketable by saying that you do have some access at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
that access going to be dependent on what the future plan is? Like, yeah, like I that's what I don't. Maybe I need to be educated more. But I'm looking at the bylaws. I don't know what we're deciding here because ultimately, if the plan is to market and build another property, we're going to have to go through all this again to understand the total impact, whether it be stormwater or, you know, there's not even a wetlands delineation. We don't know that either. Like, there's just too many unknowns here.
Oh, we'll certainly get the wetlands delineated, and I mean, the product is in what you see in front of you. You know, it's a gravel driveway to a buildable portion of the lot. So, I mean, I don't understand what the you know, if I mean, just, you know, put in perspective that if planning board had jurisdiction over stormwater, you would just be looking at this and you would never see it again. You know, because it's just providing access to the portion of the lot that's up and out of your jurisdiction. So once they build this driveway, if they keep the driveway in place, they can build a house there that's not under the, you know, Wetlands Protection Act or the local bylaw. It would just be stormwater. That's really what we're doing here.
Well, I'm glad the planning board doesn't have jurisdiction over that, but in any case, it looks like they couldn't claim a limited project because it looks like they have more than 50 feet of frontage here from the drain pipe to the northeast corner of their property. So
Right, and that's why we're providing
that
access.
driveway, that is where the driveway is going to be.
Mr. Chair, I know we're coming up, we're past 30 minutes here. We do have two other comments from Tony in the chat, and then I believe Miss Murphy, Laura Murphy's also raising her hand. Do we want to just quickly go through those and then kind of quickly regroup here? Because it sounds like we're going to need a continuance.
Well, yeah, we are going to need a continuance, and I think the longer we commissioners talk about it, the more flies in the ointment we seem to be identifying. So I think that probably we should just go with a continuance. Let's come back to us with a valid wetlands delineation. Consider the sentiment that you've heard, and I don't know that there are alternatives, but if you can think of any, please flesh them out for us. And I think we do need to move on.
Okay. Do you want me to still read the comments?
If they've submitted, they can resubmit letters. It's going to be continued. They'll get another bite at this apple next time, as will the rest of the commissioners. I don't think we're entirely comfortable with what we're seeing, and given a couple of weeks here, we may have resolved some of these things by looking at the plans more carefully and anything that is newly submitted. I mean, I have some questions about this drainage ditch, and we could go on and on here for a long time, I suppose. So let's call it an evening for this applicant, if you guys are in agreement. Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, we're in agreement. We'll continue.
So this, we're going to continue.
Sometime in July?
Yeah, maybe. So the public hearing for NOI 2414, 159 Atlantic Avenue is now continued to June 20, I forgot again.
Well, there's June 20th, July 11th, and July 25th. Brendan, how much time do you think you need? Because you're given 3 detailed abutter letters and
Yep, June, let's put it on June 20th, and if we need more time, we'll go from there.
Okay.
Can I make one quick comment, please?
Sure.
The way this has been submitted, it's 159 Atlantic Avenue. If this truly is 159 Atlantic Avenue, I'm going to say what we always say, which is the 50-foot buffer is a no-build zone. So in my opinion, if we were going to vote, I would vote against this project because it says 159 Atlantic Avenue. If So I'm going to suggest that perhaps this gets redefined as whatever this new lot is. And that's just my opinion on this project.
So it sounds like your alternative better be, show us one outside the 50.
Will do.
Okay. Because there's no disturbance there, no existing disturbance.
I mean, it's a developed lawn area with compost piles and, you know, wood chip piles. It's not a,
Questionable whether that counts as disturbance or not.
counts as degradation, does it? Not
What?
degradation? Similar to a riverfront area? That's what it is. It's not riverfront area, but it's degradation. Disturbance. It's previously cut. I mean, they mow some of that lawn over there.
Yeah, well,
They-
okay,
they
let's
they
save that conversation could go on for quite a while too. So let's.
Sure. Okay.
The hearing for the moment is continued, so we need to move on.
Yep. And Brendan, I'll just quickly note, reading the comments very quickly, there are people who are concerned about access. You know, Lothrop Lane's extremely narrow, so they're wondering about, you know, equipment coming back and forth, parking, where you're going to stage and stockpile things. And then another butter is asking if access of the assessment of the pipe could be included in the review. So that I believe those comments are also in their letters, but just wanted to note those quickly because they were submitted. So
Sure. Yeah, I'll get to those.
Thank you.
All right. Next is the resumption of the public hearing, NOI 2412. This is Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Route 3A, sidewalk, a bike path on Chief Justice Cushing Highway. That's been continued from May 16th.
sorry, give me 1 second.
Larry, you got to keep turning off your camera at the beginning of each hearing because your picture makes us happy. See, look at Tom laugh. See?
Yeah,
Good picture, Valerio.
you look better in the picture.
Well, happier, not better.
Okay.
Okay. Can you
Hey.
please state your names and affiliation for the record, please?
This is Michael Rieger from Trans Systems. Address is 101 Arch Street in Boston, Mass, representing Mass DOT.
Kylie Abuzed with MassDOT Wetlands, 10 Park Plaza.
Charlotte, can you also make Jessica Deeds a panelist?
Sure.
She's from Trans Systems as well. She's our
Okay.
wetland scientist.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jessica Deeds with Trans Systems.
Yep, so I can go over the project. I'll share my screen. So this project is a Mass DOT project with can you guys all see my screen?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this project represents a Mass DOT project to improve exclusive turning lanes on Route 3A and adding bike accommodations and sidewalks on each side of Route 3A. As you can see on my screen here, this is Route 3A and is Beechwood Street here. There's a Shaw's parking lot here, and it extends into Situate down to Henry Turner Bailey Road. So that's the project limits, basically from Schofield Road up near Hickory Circle here, and goes to the town line. And I wanted to mention that the anticipated construction schedule is, it's gonna be bid for construction at the end of August 2024, and with construction anticipated to begin the fall of 2024 and finish in, it's 2.5 years construction, so the winter, summer of 2027 is when it will be complete, anticipated completion date. And then I also wanted to mention that we recently went on a site visit with Mass DEP last week actually, and reflagged the wetlands again because Mass DEP needed to get out there and look at all the wetlands and the delineations, and there was a couple flags we needed to shift from the plans that we currently submitted, and so the flags are all refreshed as of last week. So we plan to resubmit the plans with refreshed flags. There was some locations where they didn't graphically show exactly where they were taken in the field, so we needed to refresh the flags as of last week. But for the most part, the project, this is Route 3A here in Beechwood Street, and in Cohasset, all the wetland impacts are, the majority of all the wetland impacts are north of Beechwood Street. So basically from Schofield Road to Beechwood Street, there's existing wetlands adjacent to the road, the existing road. And since we're widening, making exclusive turning lanes, the road is getting widened slightly. And there's a 2-to-1 slope that impacts the land underwater, the intermittent stream, and then we need to relocate the stream. And by relocating the stream, that impacts the wetlands behind the stream. And mitigation for all the impacts are, majority of them are all completed in an upland area, which is a little bit north of, these are all hydraulically connected wetlands in this whole vicinity, and they all drain, the drainage all drains ultimately down to, goes through a head wall here, through new drainage pipes that go down, and it all goes down through 3A and out to hydraulically connected wetland F down here, where we're putting in walls to limit the impacts to the wetlands. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was we're meeting the stormwater standards to the maximum extent practical, because this is call it a redevelopment project. So we're treating all the water quality to the maximum extent practicable and installing all new deep sump catch basins for the project. And Kylie, did you want to add anything about the exemption from the local bylaws?
No, the commission should have received the letter regarding the exemption from local bylaws and stormwater bylaw. I don't know if Charlotte passed it along.
Charlotte, did you provide that letter that MassDOT
I did,
gave
yes.
regarding that?
And
Okay.
yes, and I'll just briefly say that our town council agreed with that analysis.
Okay. And I can open it up for questions. That's it.
Commissioners, do you have questions?
Have the wetlands been flagged?
Yes, they're all flagged. They're currently
They're
out
all
there.
flagged.
Yes.
Okay.
So we flagged them in April of 2023, our wetland scientists, and then we reflagged them again last Thursday. So the plans that show the wetland flags now are from last week, but then Mass DEP had a site walk with us. We were out there all day with Mass DEP, and we had to adjust some flags slightly. So the impact should be pretty much close to what they're showing on these plans. I can get to that table. we have, these are the current impacts in Cohasset. Almost 4,000, basically 4,962 minus 52, because 52 is in Situate. And then we're replicating 5,253 square feet.
And are any of these wetlands being relocated onto private property?
Yes, we have, yeah, the replication area is outside the state layout line, but we have easements, wetland replication easements for these, private properties, like this property in particular here, where there's this upland area. So we've gone through the whole right-of-way process and have the right-of-way certificate.
So how do you replicate a wetland in an upland area?
Basically dig
You're
out
gonna
all the upland.
excavate it so that it.
Yes. You basically connect to this wetland over here, wetland E, with this wetland here, and basically dig out the 75 contour and the 74 contour and just make it all the same elevation, so it's a wetland. And plant it with trees and seeding.
Isn't it standard?
You done any test
for
pits
2 to
there?
1?
Sorry, Chris?
Sorry, isn't it the mitigation standard 2 to 1 ratio of replication?
Not with Mass DOT. I think that's a local bylaw.
Have you done any test pits in your replication area where you're going to excavate?
No,
So you may be on bedrock there.
that's true. We haven't done any test bits.
Charlotte,
The
can
only-
you summarize the DEP comments for us? I know those were just added to the file.
The ones we just got today, I can roughly summarize them, but I might be missing a few things here and there. But DEP's initial comments for assigning a file number all had to do with water quality certification. So the technical and administrative comments we received as of today did relate to obviously, reflagging the wetlands. They had some concerns about the specifics of the intermittent stream relocation, which Mike and his team said that they'll provide. I had comments for that as well. And I'm sorry, I haven't had enough time to read the rest of their letter, but they did have some other administrative, documents that were required. And so as part of the 401 review, they also wanted to hold off until the project has been reviewed through MEPA. So they have submitted to MEPA. I believe, Mike, was that earlier this week?
Yeah, that was actually
Okay.
Yesterday, the ENF
Yes.
went in.
So we're still pending MEPA review, and 401 will hold off for now until they, get more information, from that review, and then obviously from local Concom.
And we also have review from the Army Corps of Engineers as well. We have comments from them.
Oh, great. Could you send
Yeah.
those to me, Mike? I'm sorry if I didn't see them.
Yeah, no, I can send those.
Okay.
I think they basically commented on the 401 permit, so it
Mhm.
wasn't part of the NOI set, like, but I can certainly share them if you need them.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any further questions or comments? Charlotte, does it look like their package is complete?
From a Wetlands Protection Act perspective, since we are dealing with the local bylaws here, I did have a list of long comments, but I had talked about it previously with Mike that it made sense for them to hold off on responding to those until they got comments from the commission, but also, of course, comments from any of the other state and federal departments. It kind of makes sense to look at everything at once and then come back when everything's been revised. So I did have a list of several comments related to, you know, the state right of way versus private property, the wetlands replication areas, details for replication, including the relocation of the intermittent stream, some of the stormwater improvements, riverfront area alterations. So I definitely had a list.
You had a-
So sorry for that, Mike.
No, that's fine. Some of
But,
your
we
comments
did-
did overlap with Mass
Yeah.
DEP too. So once I share those comments, maybe some of your comments might be not applicable, but we can certainly still answer all your, put a response to all your comments.
Thank you. No, that'd be great. And then we did walk a good portion of the site from Shaw's, looking at the plans here. We walked, I believe it's wetland A and B, and then across the street
Yes.
E, to look at the area, although it was pouring rain when we were going out there. So, but since this is a large site, I may go back at some point to take a better look. But it is along 3A, so
Yep. And then
not
we
the best site to walk safely.
we did reflag all the wetlands in the rain too and we had Ryan Hale with us from Mass DEP. So he was,
Okay.
We have a pretty thorough wetland delineation, I would think, at this point.
And
We've looked
those,
at them 3 or 4 times.
I think they also asked for the upland reports as well.
Yeah,
and-
we have
okay.
those. Yeah,
Okay.
we did that. Yeah, we had the Situate hearing on Monday as well, and we told them we would wait till the comments from Cohasset to kind of update the whole plan set as well. So basically, between the water quality cert and both NOIs, we're gonna update the plans based on all the comments and plan on coming back to or sending in at least the revised comment plans.
So commissioners, do we have any comments to add to Charlotte's list?
Yeah, is there a portion of this in the Lily Pond, the Peppermint Brook watershed? Is that delineated on here? No, it's right about.
It's
the extent of it.
It's I have it in the GIS, but it's not on the plan. So I think you're referring to this Lily Pond. Let me get there. This watershed here, this hatching in the GIS. This is all part of Lily Pond, but Mass DEP had actually a really good comment on this, that this actually doesn't qualify as an ORW within our project, since all the drainage from within our project doesn't go to Lily Pond. It goes down to Bound Brook, which was kind of interesting to me. So, but that is why we triggered, partially why we triggered a water quality cert, is because we were in the ORW, since we were kind of under the 5,000 square foot of impacted wetlands directly. But this is not on the plan. We could certainly put that on the plan though. That line.
Any other comments that we want to make here? Okay, so with that, I think that it sounds like you guys are going to come back to us after you've addressed the comments that Charlotte has given you and Situate has given you, and we'll resume.
Sorry, Tom, one other comment on the mitigation. I'm sorry if I missed it, but what's how long does that have to be maintained? What's the success rate or duration of monitoring, I guess? That included in the mitigation plan on there?
Typically, MassDOT contracts for monitoring are 2 years after construction is complete, with reports from a wetland scientist. And if you would prefer more, that could always be conditioned, but that is the typical spec provided by MassDOT.
So I think we probably want to see more detail about how this replication area will be planted, what's going to go there.
Okay.
And look at that long-term maintenance plan. So if you could include information about that, next time we resume here.
Yeah, and if there's any alternatives to increase the area of mitigation, that would also be, we'd also like to see that.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, since there's no real alternative analysis for this, since it's just adding sidewalks on both sides, we actually had to remove the sidewalks from Schofield Road to Beechwood Street to like limit the impacts to the wetlands. That was a big thing we needed to do to get this through, to permit the project. We stopped the sidewalk on the north right at this gentleman's driveway here, and then it ends right here. But the bike lanes continue, and the sidewalks continue all the way further, you know, for the whole project.
So that means there's going to be a crosswalk across 3A to connect the two sidewalks?
Let me double check that. I have. Let me see, traffic, temporary traffic control.
I mean, it sounds like you have two orphan sidewalks there. They really can't practically be connected.
Yeah, this is a crosswalk here.
Oh, I thought you said that north side crosswalk would terminate before it got to the intersection.
This one on the south terminates. The one on the north goes to this driveway right here, where there's it terminates right here. Just so this guy can walk this way.
So where does the one on the south side terminate on to the west?
Right here, right.
No, that's the east. That's the east end of it. Where does it go on the west?
It doesn't go on the west here. There's no sidewalk on this portion of Route 3A. That's just a bike lane here.
How long is the sidewalk on the south side?
It is not on the south side on Route 3A north of Beechwood Street. It's not. There's no sidewalk on this side.
Oh, okay.
It's on south of Beechwood Street on through 3A. It's on both sides of the road, north and south, the sidewalk and bike lanes.
Okay,
And
so we have a sidewalk on the north side, at least planned north.
Yes, yep.
And it goes a couple of 100 feet and stops.
Yes. 150 feet.
150 feet.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why are you doing that? Do you have to? Is that some requirement?
It was basically determined by district and MassDOT that was a good spot to stop it, because there's a proposed driveway here, so we wanted to. It made logical sense to kind of stop it at this driveway.
I guess I'm struggling with the logic that it exists at all.
Yeah, why did it start?
That's I can't really answer that. That's the best answer I have, is it just went to this driveway here.
I just say that as a taxpayer, that's perplexing.
Okay.
To have an orphan sidewalk like that one person might use. This is a town that's desperate for sidewalks, and here we're getting an orphan. That's weird. So much for editorializing. Let's move on to continue this. Let me read my little script about this then. Unless we have any more comments that we want to make that are germane to the permit. With that, the public hearing for NOI 2412 MassDOT Route 3A is continued until, what's the magic number, Charlotte?
I'll give you guys a choice. So
Can
there's
we- can
June
we-
20th, June 20th, July 11th, and July 25th.
June 20th, please.
Okay,
Okay. It's continued to June 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the resumption of the public hearing to amend NOI 20-01 Stormwater Permit 20-01 175 Sora Street. This is for an open air pool accessory.
Sorry, changing people here. Oh, okay. Hi, Jeff. I don't see the applicant, but I'll let you know if they pop up.
Okay, great, thank you. So Jeff Assett here again. The property owners are Michael and Jocelyn Crowell, and this is a swimming pool project. It was approved under an order of conditions and a stormwater permit back in 2019, and the swimming pool was installed back in 2021. So the project was entirely completed, but the order of conditions was still outstanding. We're here seeking an amended order of conditions to add a structure at the end of the swimming pool. The structure is, I'll share my screen and just do a quick recap on this from last meeting. So the swimming pool is right here. It has a patio around it and a crushed stone trench along the side of it. And what we're proposing under this amended order of conditions is to add this trapezoid shaped pool cabana at the back. It's 18 feet wide in the front and 15 feet deep, well, 17.9 to be exact. It's open air on 3 sides and then has a wall in the back. At the last meeting, we continued in order to provide more information on the pool equipment, which sits right here in the as-built conditions. And it turned out the concern with that equipment was whether it's a sand filter. If it was a sand filter, that could be an issue because they require backwashing on a regular basis, and there could be chlorinated water discharging in that area. So following that meeting, we did reach out to the homeowners, and they were able to confirm that it's actually a cartridge style filter, and that type of filter does not backwash at all. So we're glad to hear that. The construction of that filter is in an area that was existing lawn outside of the 50-foot buffer. And if they were to move it, it would create more disturbance within the, to do that work to move it. And because it does not backwash, we feel it will not have any adverse impact on the wetlands. All of the work associated with this amendment to add the structure on the end is also outside of the 50-foot buffer and in an area that's currently lawn. And I took a couple photos since the last meeting. This is, this is a pool. That trapezoid structure is going right at the end of the pool, right off the edge of it. And you're looking at the fence around the pool equipment right here. And then this is a close-up. So it's going right there. And these 2 orange stakes represent the 50-foot buffer that the homeowners are aware that they have to stay out of, and they will.
Charlotte, do you have any comments on this? Or information to provide, I mean? Okay, commissioners.
Jeff, what's the wall material?
Modular block.
Charlotte, this is more just like a procedural question. Are they asking for us to change the order of conditions that they install this?
So the amendment request is for the open air pool accessory structure. That was the original submission. But during our first hearing, we had expressed concerns about the pool equipment and if there would be any drainage concerns into the wetland, and a portion of the fence has crossed into the 50-foot buffer. The original project did not issue any variances because there was no work in the 50. So it seems like Jeff
Alright.
and the applicant are willing to push that back. But yeah, sorry, to answer your question, the original procedure here was to approve an amended order conditions for the pool
Yeah.
accessory structure.
Do you have a better picture of the rest of the enclosure there around the filter?
I can pull up my photos from last time if that's helpful.
Jeff, what's the height of the cabana?
I don't know the exact height, but it's less than 15 feet tall, which is a requirement under the zoning bylaws.
Sorry, this is slowly coming into focus, but there we go. I was just taking photos of the wetland and the 50-foot buffer for reference, but sorry, that's the pool equipment in the enclosed fence area.
Can we go back to the plan for a minute?
Yep. Oh, sorry, Jeff, do you want to pull your screen
Yeah.
back up?
Yeah, if I can do that.
Thank you.
So the homeowners are going to sort of crop that fence that surrounds the pool equipment to take it entirely out of the 50-foot. Is that what's going on, Jeff?
Why bother?
Yeah, because, you know, when it came to our attention that it went partially into the 50-foot buffer, we had the options of either requesting a variance or a waiver, or just modifying it. And they said they're more than happy just to pull that section back. It's going to be behind the pool house or the pool structure that we're proposing now, so it won't be visible anyways.
Can you zoom in a little bit over there, please? So the fence doesn't actually return to the perimeter fence, right?
No, it doesn't. I just noticed that too, looking at the photos. It ends right at this point.
So,
I assumed it went back that way, so it's just that that corner is going to be pulled back.
but the perimeter fence goes into the 50 as well.
What's that?
The perimeter fence goes into the 50-foot buffer as well.
The property line fence?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm noticing that too, that we can, I could, I think as a condition that can be pulled back as well, because again, I don't mind. I'd rather not seek a variance on this.
well, there's the Charlotte, fences are exempt, right?
For the Wetlands Protection Act, they're in the buffer zone. They're considered a minor activity as long as they don't impede wildlife passage.
And since it ends, the wildlife can just go around the end of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I'll leave that up to you. I mean, the homeowners certainly don't have to want to pull that back if they don't have to, obviously.
And Jeff, this whole thing started because the pool actually shifted, right?
It did, yeah. Yeah, so it was put in around 2021. We did stake it out. You know, I have a record of where we staked it out, but the pool contractor seemingly moved it. So it's still, it's still in an area that's lawn. It's outside of the 50, still outside of the 50-foot buffer. I'm not aware if they spoke to the agent at the time or not. I don't have any record of that.
Right.
But we discovered that what happened was we filed this application to add the cabana on the end. And
Yep.
then in Charlotte's site walk, she noted that the pool equipment might be in the 50-foot buffer. So we went out and we located that. And while we were at it, we also did an as-built of everything else and discovered, yeah, the pool had been shifted. So we've made that. We're trying to close up all those loose ends here and have this plan be the actual as-built condition. Just with the addition of that pool house being added.
Further comments? Does any commissioner wish to make a motion to amend or deny the amendment to the order of conditions 2001?
I'll make a motion to amend NOI 20-01 and stormwater permit 20-01 at 175 Sawyer Street per the revised plan currently presented. We have a date on that, Charlotte?
Sorry, Jeff, I don't have the date in front of me.
I've got it, April 23rd.
Second.
Okay, Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, aye. That motion passes 6-0-0. So
Thank you.
consequently, the public hearing for NOI 20-01, stormwater permit 20-01, 175 Sora Street is now closed.
Sorry, did we also amend the stormwater permit, or did we do that in one motion?
It did in one motion.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was writing my notes.
Okay. Next is the resumption of the public hearing for NOI 24-11, 149-151 Hall Street. You want to replace a garage and a pervious driveway. Been continued from May 2nd, 2024. After this one, we will take a brief recess.
I'm sorry, did you say before this one or after?
No, after.
After.
Oh, good, okay. So for the record, Brendan Sullivan again from Merrill Associates. Also have the architect Clark Brewer on board. So from the last meeting, this is the existing garage. We're changing to a with the guest house in the same footprint, small gravel driveway in the back. We had an original mitigation about just over 1,000 square feet in the back. We upped that to where are we? 1,800 square feet in the back, and we also added some shrubs and also with the shrubs, plants, and the mitigation and the seed mix in between them. It also added a note to a general cleanup of any man-made materials on either side of what we're calling a stone wall. It's really some boulders that were strewn in the back of the property. Yes, man-made materials and some deadfall. The deadfall is to remain adjacent to the wetlands to provide habitat. I think that was about it on this one.
Have you been out to look at it, Charlotte? Or was that even necessary?
In terms of the updated plan, no, but I do have pictures of the site if you guys wanted to see the mitigation location again. I can pull those up.
I think we saw it in the last.
You did, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Okay. Any further comments from the commissioners? Okay,
Wait, can I just quickly, what's, Brendan, what's the detail on the driveway addition?
The driveway, just our typical driveway detail here.
Oh, same, okay, same as the one you showed earlier. Okay.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
Clean
Thank
gravel
you.
base and 3 inches of stone on top.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
okay, so I move that we approve.
Mr. Chair, I did have some recommended conditions. Do you want me to read those now or later before
I know.
motion?
Read them now, please.
Okay. Just gonna pull it up because it's easier. Okay. Most of them were about the mitigation planting area, so removing everything like all the debris as noted on the plan, no heavy machinery allowed over the stone wall and within wetlands, invasive species being removed by hand. No mulch is allowed in mitigation area except for around individual plants, and only undyed mulch is allowed. That's all part of the mitigation plan that Brendan already showed. And then upon completion of the work, a planting report prepared by an appropriate professional shall be included as part of the COC. At minimum, the report shall include plantings, species size, health status, maintenance monitoring, reporting schedule for at least 3 full growing seasons, no herbicides allowed, and then just standard conditions that we've kind of noted for other projects that are already mostly required for our regulations.
Thanks. So I move that we approve the order of conditions for NOI 24-11 with the conditions as documented by our agent.
Second.
Second. We're gonna have a vote here. Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanji Fernando, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, aye. That motion passes 6-0-0. And do we need a variance, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, for the 50 and greater than 1,000 square feet of riverfront.
Okay, so I move to grant a variance for work within the riverfront and the 50-foot buffer to the wetland. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanji Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, aye. That motion passes 6-0-0. And what else do we need to do with this to get it
Thank you.
moving along? We need to close the hearing, don't we? So the public hearing for NOI 24-11. Just making sure it's right. 24-11 at 149, 151 Hall Street is now closed. There we go.
Great, thank you very much.
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next we're going to take 5 minutes, guys.
Okay.
8:57. Oh.
All right. Valerio, Sanji, you guys good? All right, thumbs up. Sanji, you there? Hmm.
Hey, sorry about that.
All right. Tom, I think we're good. Up, you're muted.
Okay. Next is a resumption of the public hearing for stormwater permit 2412, 149 King Street, self-storage facility. Continued from April 18th, 2024.
Chair Bell, good evening. This is Adam Brodsky. Can you hear me this evening?
Yes, I can.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm a local environmental and land use lawyer, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, PSI Atlantic Acquisition 8 LLC. And joining me tonight are Jesse Morgan, Senior Vice President with PSI, as well as Dan Ketches, our registered professional engineer with VHB. Since our last public hearing on April 18th, we provided additional information that was requested by the commission, which includes VHB's letter to the commission dated May 7, 2024, revised site plans, as well as a revised stormwater report. And with your permission, I'm just going to briefly highlight the key points and then turn the presentation over to Dan. First, with respect to stormwater, VHB has redesigned the stormwater BMPs to provide stormwater recharge meeting standard number 3, as identified by Mr. Brennan, the peer review consultant. I'll let Dan explain that to you. Mr. Brennan has reviewed that and has issued his own letter. I see that he's here this evening, so I'll let him obviously speak to that issue. Second, we provided cut and fill calculations, and the project will require a net cut of approximately 10,000 cubic yards. Any materials exported will be managed in compliance with all applicable laws, as you would expect. Number 3, we revised the landscape plan to include the additional trees that were required as a result of the prior violations at the site by the property owner. 4, we've added a trench drain across the access driveway to prevent runoff from the driveway entering into the state highway layout. And lastly, we confirmed with Vertex Companies that it had performed an environmental site assessment, including soil and groundwater tested, and confirmed that there were no exceedances of any of the Massachusetts contingency plan reportable concentrations for any contaminants at the site. So I know the hour's late, so I'm going to turn this over to Dan to specifically speak to the stormwater BMPs and any other issues. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the commission. Dan Ketches, VHB. I'm a civil engineer. And I will just, I think Adam hit on the main points of the revised plans that were submitted on May 7th. I'll just briefly share my screen and talk through them on plan. You can all see that there. So the biggest revision to the stormwater, as Adam mentioned, focused on infiltration. And so the plan doesn't look all that different, but we revised the surface fire retention basin, and it's now a surface infiltration basin. And the way we propose to achieve that is by over excavating the bottom footprint of the basin down through the siltier upper layers of soil on site down to the clean sand layer. It's about 10 to 12 feet down, and backfilling again with a clean sand to allow us to infiltrate into those more freely draining soils. So that revision allows us to be in full compliance with the DP standard as well as the town standard for runoff volumes from the site. As Adam mentioned, again, we did add a trench drain across the rear driveway to ensure we're fully collecting all the runoff from that rear access drive. And we did clarify the grading a little bit at these 2 area drains on either side, that they'll be actually located in a depression to better capture the upland runoff. On the landscaping plan, we responded to some comments we received from Charlotte regarding specifically the species, calipers, and heights specified for the proposed trees. There are 20 trees proposed on the site. The plantings are really all focused on the front of the site along the frontage on King Street. And the trees have been revised to be aligned with the town species list and specified dimensions. The rest of the comments are a lot of small clarifications regarding the plans, erosion controls, stormwater report, O&M. So I don't think I need to go into too much detail on that. We were, as Adam mentioned, we were in front of planning board last week. We do have one outstanding comment we received from the board, which we're working to revise, that I'd like to preview for the commission here, that is not reflected on our current plans. I think as it relates to stormwater, it really has no impact, but it was based on a comment about the zoning and the location and height of the proposed retaining wall as it relates to the building setback. And so this plan here is what we plan to resubmit in the near future, which revises the retaining wall down to just a 3-foot height along this side, increasing up to a 6-foot height in the rear, utilizing a 2-to-1 slope beyond the wall with still maintaining a drainage swale, a fence for a pedestrian guard. And so from a stormwater standpoint, there is no increase in impervious area associated with it. It doesn't change the catchment areas. The overall stormwater design is unchanged. The 2-to-1 slope will be stabilized with an erosion control seed mix, suitable for slopes, quick to stabilize and establish, and requiring low maintenance. So again, we plan to submit that in the coming days to planning board. I think if the commission sees fit, we would request that minor change be a condition of approval for the stormwater permit, and we would submit those plans to the commission as well. I'm happy to go into any more detail on any specific items or answer any questions.
Mr. Brennan, can you comment about how well they addressed your concerns?
Yeah, thank you. Pat Brennan, peer reviewer on the project for the commission.
As both Attorney Brodsky and Dan mentioned, the biggest thing, and obviously was the biggest part of the conversation at the last hearing, was that they weren't recharging. And as Dan mentioned, they're excavating in the location of that basin down to the sand layer, which is about 10 feet deep, and then filling that back up with sand. And what that does, as Dan mentioned, is it mitigates the volume. So the runoff volume off the site will not be above existing conditions, which is what your stormwater bylaw requires. So they are in compliance with that now. And the only small minor comment that I had in my letter of May 9th was that in the O&M for the infiltration basin, they specify mowing of the basin at least twice per year, which is what the DEP Stormwater Handbook requires. Personally, I like to see these basins mowed on a regular basis with the rest of the lawn areas. The reason for that is when you specify it twice a year, it rarely happens. And these basins become overgrown with woody vegetation, and they just become an eyesore. And if you maintain them as regular lawn, the functionality of them remains intact. They're easier to clean because you get good healthy grass in there, and cut grass that's easier to clean than uncontrolled weeds for the most part. So if the commission is amenable to that type of a frequency for mowing, I highly recommend it, but it's obviously up to the commission if you'd like to go that route.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions? Charlotte, do you have a list of conditions that you've prepared for this?
I was just typing that last one. Give me 1 sec, I can pull that up.
Sure.
So these were as part of all the comments we received. So the ones that I sent, the ones that Pat sent, I think some planning board comments as well. So the first two conditions I had here were related to just making sure we stay informed about the other state and federal permits that are needed. So state highway access permit shall be submitted to the agent as part of the required stormwater management inspections prior to any work within the right of way, which they had noted in their comments as well. The EPA, NIPD's permit and stormwater prevention pollution plan, as well as any revised erosion and sedimentation control plans shall be submitted to the agent for review prior to construction and shall be reviewed as part of pre-construction inspection in the required inspection section in the stormwater permit. As related to condition 2, which is a template condition about changes to plans. Any changes to the plans from MassDOT or any other local, state, federal permit shall be submitted to the commission in writing prior to implementing those changes to determine if amended permit is required. Limit of work shall be staked along with erosion controls inspected by agent as part of pre-construction inspection. No trees are shown to be removed as part of the project. So these couple conditions about the trees were related to the existing 2019 stormwater permit, which we had previously discussed. A new permit would be submitted, discussed, and then you come back to the COC request for the 2019. So I added these conditions in with respect to that 2019 COC request that we had already discussed. So I wrote no trees allowed to be removed without prior authorization, just because that was the origin of the violation a long time ago. And then the maintenance plan for the 20 trees and vegetated areas shall be provided to the commission as part of a request for a certificate of completion. The planting maintenance plan may be added to the long-term O&M plan if that's easier. And then the 20 trees shall be perpetually maintained on the site after the issuance of a certificate of completion and shall not be removed except to be replaced in kind if any individual trees die. This condition shall survive the issuance of a COC. And then the long-term O&M plan shall be revised to include a regular mowing schedule for the stormwater detention basin. Sorry, I was reading that quickly, but hopefully you guys can read on the screen too.
Yeah. So the final condition, shall we set a seasonal frequency for mowing? Be more specific about that.
That was going to be my question for you guys in terms of how do you define regular?
Yeah. Monthly. Mr. Brendan, you're the one that suggested this. What would you think is appropriate?
Well, typically I like to see it mowed when they do the rest of the landscaping. So whether that be weekly or bi-weekly, you know, that way it blends in with the rest of the grass on the site.
Okay. All right, commissioners, do you have any additional conditions that you'd like to insert here?
Do we know where the trees are gonna be planted? Can,
Yes, I can pull or Dan, if you want to pull the plan back
Yeah,
up,
pull-
I'll stop sharing my screen.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that, I just want to note that the abutter is the police department, and we just have to make sure that their sight lines are maintained as they come out of their driveway.
Yeah, so the proposed plantings, they're all concentrated sort of at the top of that existing slope. So there's
Okay.
no plantings proposed within the right of way, so I wouldn't think, you know, from a site distance that would be impactful at all.
Well, when they're pulling out at 50 miles an hour, the sight lines cut back,
Chris-
but no,
Chris,
the planting pulls back enough, that's fine.
Chris, don't you think there's going to be a light there that they will use when they are exiting?
I don't know the answer to that.
I would think so. That they're going to install a light there so that they can clear the roadway or stop traffic so that they can get out of their driveway. In any case, further comments or additions to the conditions that have been read to us?
Chair Bell, this is Adam Brodsky. Would it be appropriate to have an additional special condition requiring the applicant to submit a revised plan showing the retaining wall detail without the need for further amendment?
So is there a plan to revise that,
Yeah, that's what
that wall?
Yeah, yes, Chair Bell. Dan showed you the draft plan that we're submitting to the planning board. I just want to make sure that we will provide it to the commission also, and we don't need to formally amend the permit.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, if planning requires something somewhat different, I think that Charlotte can handle the any amendment here, which would be minor, as that, it seems to me, administratively, she can handle that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So
I just added a condition that a revised plan for the modifications to the retaining wall as required per the planning board shall be submitted to the Conservation Commission in writing to review administratively. Are we okay with that?
yeah, it sounds, that's what I had in mind. Okay, so I move to approve, issue a stormwater permit 24-12 for 149 King Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, with the conditions that Agent Pechtel has just read to us.
Second.
Thank you. Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano,
Valerio Romano, aye.
Tom Bell. That motion passes 6-0-0.
Thank you very much.
And
Good
with
night
that,
and happy holiday.
We'll close
Thank you.
this out. So the public hearing for stormwater permit 2412, 149 King Street is now closed.
Speedy
We have an
recovery,
issue
Ms.
with
Pechtel.
DOT or something for the
Thank
last
you.
permit?
Sorry, Valerio, did you say something?
Do we have to close out the existing permit as well?
We'll put that back on an upcoming agenda.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a continuance date for that. That was contingent upon the new project. So I'll put it back on. I'll ask the
Whatever,
applicant,
yeah.
but I'll put it back on 6/6 or 6/20.
All right, next is a resumption of the public hearing for stormwater permit 2406, 1 Reservoir Road. Additions, retaining wall and driveway.
Sorry, give me one sec.
Sure.
Here we go. Hi, Sean. Hi, Rick.
I'm trying to start video here, but there we go. Good evening.
Evening.
Oh, sorry, Sean. Can you state your name and affiliation?
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry.
record?
Yep. Sean Hardy, professional engineer with Hardy and Mann Design Group in Weymouth.
And then we have Rick Mark Riley here, who's the applicant for the project.
Yes. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we were continued a few weeks ago. There was some outstanding questions or items. I can just, I guess, go through relatively quickly. There was a question about the retaining wall, both the material and what sort of material would be behind it and supporting it. So we did a stack block retaining wall detail with an 8-inch granular leveling pad with a 12-inch thick drainage layer behind it, to allow water to kind of get down into the ground instead of cascading over the wall. There was question about the slope coming down. So we made a note, propose 3-to-1 max slope on this area here. We were directed towards another project. I think it was an Atlantic Ave project, I forget, but we went right on that filing for this tree protection detail. There was concern about the protection of this tree. And excuse me, it is our intent to leave this tree and this tree intact and protect them during construction. We were asked about potential proposed landscaping areas. We're showing an area along the front of the house, as you would typically have in front of a house, as, you know, propose a landscape bed and shrubs and flowers, without specifically picking things just yet. The homeowner wants to kind of work through that as they progress. We did also add an additional note, 2 additional notes, all disturbed areas to be loomed and seeded, to kind of close the loop on that, on what the finished treatment would be in the rest of these areas, as well as a note saying native trees and shrubs to be planted in lawn areas and to be determined, because, you know, as this plays out, they want a little bit of leeway, but they are committed to planting, you know, native trees and flowers around the property to beautify it. I believe those were the edits. I'm happy to go back over some of the project if you would like, but like I said, in the interest of time, I kind of wanted to summarize what was changed.
Okay, at least by my recollection, it looks like you've addressed all of our concerns, but let me open that up to the rest of the commission. Any further concerns or questions regarding the revised plan? I know as soon as I say something, Chris McFarland's going to say, he's going to jump right in.
Nope.
Okay, good. Then in that case, I will move that we issue a stormwater permit for SWP 24-06 for 1 Reservoir Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano,
Valerio Romano, aye.
Tom Bell, and motion passes 6-0-0.
Thank you.
We will close it up and
Okay.
as soon as I find it again. Public hearing for stormwater permit 24-06 -06, One Reservoir Road is now closed. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
You're
Rick.
welcome.
You're welcome.
Next is the resumption of the public hearing for NOI 24-08, stormwater permit 24-11, 472 King Street, a new single-family dwelling.
Everyone, if you can hear me, would you guys be able to state your name and affiliation for the record?
Hi, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. My name is Gabriel Padilla. I'm with Grady Consulting. Mr. Glenn Pratt is also in the call. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, it's Glenn Pratt.
All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to zoom into each of the areas you speak to because it looks pretty small on my screen.
Yes. Okay. So this was our most critical area. This should be fine, right?
Yeah.
All right. So from the previous hearing that we had, we were getting into the buffer zone with the grading, also with the discharge of the stormwater. From that hearing to this one, we moved the house forward. We stayed within the setback, so we can move the house forward a couple of feet, and we eliminated part of the deck of the backyard. We also added a wall 5 feet away from the 100-foot buffer line. And we also planted trees within the buffer area and the 50-foot buffer. The slope itself now has been feathered in. It's a lot smoother than it was before. And our drainage system was reduced by a small amount, not too much, but we could pull back the discharge, which originally was around 62 feet away from the wetland, and now we pulled it back to 96.9 feet away from the wetland in an area that has already been cleared, and you can see it here within the shadow of the tree line. We also included erosion control. That would be here. I don't have it here. My apologies on that. However, there is a silt sock already installed along the buffer zone. There was a site visit and we got to see all those areas, and we could locate pretty much the areas where the trees were going. And from that site visit, there was a question on impervious areas. So the site has an additional approximately 9,500 square feet of impervious area. That's pretty much why this system needs to be the size it is. And if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Charlotte, do you have any further information to add?
So with the addition of the plantings, since some of them are in the 50-foot buffer, there would be a variance needed for that. And the plantings were selected from the, Conservation Commission's approved planting lists as part of the mitigation for, well, not just the construction of the home, but some of the work on the site that was done over 5,000 square feet before the issuance of a stormwater permit. So I had spoken with Glenn previously about tree mitigation, but we both thought it was an interesting concept to move the trees into the 100-foot buffer or into the wetlands buffer so that they could, be protected in that sense. So that's why they are proposed in the buffer zone, and a few are also proposed outside of the buffer zone.
Commissioners.
Oh, and then we did have two commissioners, Sanji and Valerio, walk the site as well. I don't know if they have any additional comments, but I can also pull up site photos if needed.
So commissioners, comments or questions?
Well, one thing I thought might be worthwhile bringing to the other commissioners' attention was sort of the difference between the driveway that's being put in on the other side of the site from the wetlands, and then how the water is getting and then filtered before it runs out. Can you describe that a little bit? Because I know there was a difference between the impervious area for the house and whatnot versus the driveway that's on sort of like the northwest side of the plan.
Yes. So the driveway itself, since it does carry pollutants from vehicles and whatnot, it does need to be treated. For the treatment, we are proposing a sand filter that will line the proposed driveway. The driveway itself is going to be super elevated towards that, so all the runoff will go towards that sand filter. From that sand filter, it'll be piped into our subsurface infiltration system, which will further treat the runoff, and any additional overflow would go out this discharge pipe here. The house itself will be connected directly from the roof drains into the infiltration system, because since there are no pollutants like there are on the driveway, that runoff does not need to be treated before it is infiltrated. So that's the difference between a roof impervious and driveway impervious.
Okay, cool. Thanks. That helps to that explains it to me.
Further comments? Okay. Any commissioner wish to make a motion to approve or deny the order of conditions for NOI 2408?
I also had draft conditions for this. I don't know if you want to look at them, or if you want me to just read them. Sorry.
I'm missing my cues again. I should be watching you, Charlotte.
No, that's okay. I
No,
don't do them for everyone. I just the ones that,
No. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yep.
please.
Recite them
Yes.
for the record.
All right. Shocker, most of them are about the plantings. So the erosion controls within the 100-foot buffer shall be revised to a silt fence and silt sock. Prior to any planting work, an additional silt fence shall be installed around the limit of planting and inspected by the agent as part of the required inspections below here. As part of the approved restoration work within 150, all trash, etc., shall be removed from the buffer zones and disposed off site prior to any planting work. All planting work in buffer zones shall be done by hand. No heavy machinery allowed in the buffer zones for planting work without prior approval from the agent. No mulch allowed in buffer zone except for around individual plants. Only undyed mulch is allowed. Invasive species removal, any necessary invasive species removal for the planting work shall be done by hand. No herbicide use allowed. And then required inspections, pre-construction, pre-stormwater installation, pre-landscaping and buffer zone planting, site inspections, and then final site inspection. I will definitely add this to our template so I don't have to read it every single time.
Good. Okay. Who's going to make this motion?
I'll make a motion. Though I might need some help in making it. I think we're gonna start with the NOI. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, motion to approve the NOI with the suggested conditions. Is that the correct terminology?
You're going to approve, issue an order of conditions for NOI 2408.
Okay, I propose we issue a order of conditions for NOI 2468 with the suggested conditions as read in the record by the conservation agent.
Great.
Second.
Okay, Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, I. 600. Now.
And you need a
motion for
variance in the, oh,
variance.
sorry, you need a variance in the 50.
So I'll do this one. I move that we approve a variance for work in the 50-foot buffer.
Second,
We'll do a roll call vote. Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valerio Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, I. That motion passes 600. And finally, we need to issue a stormwater permit. Who's going to do that one? You're on a roll, Sanjay.
All right, I raise a motion to issue a stormwater permit for I'm sorry, I'm just reading stormwater permit for stormwater permit 24-11
472 King Street.
at 472 King Street. Yeah.
There we go.
Second,
Okay, Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Sanjay Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Valerio Romano, I.
Tom Bell, I. That motion passes 600. Public hearing for NOI 2408, stormwater permit 2411, 472 King Street is now closed.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Two.
Guys, have a
Thank
nice-
you.
Okay, so here we are to the uncomfortable situation of talking about enforcement orders again. First is an enforcement order for 34 Flintlock Ridge Road. Subject is unauthorized wetland buffer disturbance.
So, I don't see them in the audience right now, but I do have, Thomas for 34 Flintlock Ridge. Can we switch and do his first?
Oh, isn't that the one I just read?
Oh, did you read 280 Beechwood or did you read 34 Flint?
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
it said 34 Flintlock.
You did. Oh, I'm sorry. I
No
misheard you. Okay, well, we're doing, yeah, okay, great.
Good.
Um. Hi, Thomas. You're muted.
On mute. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Name
All right,
and-
great.
Name and affiliation, full name and affiliation.
Thomas Sexton, contractor.
Good enough.
So Thomas, I saw you had sent a draft proposal and I can pull that up, but do you want to kind of walk us through it?
Yeah, so that was, I've been trying to get a hold of a couple other people to get a couple other inputs on it. But this is the one pretty much from Brad, just trimmed down the, cause I don't know how to send, I'm not really educated on the email thing. But this is what he had proposed. So it's pretty much guideline, it guidelines everything. Let me see if I can get back over to that in my emails. But yeah, it's, I mean, that's the guideline from Brad. There's a few things that don't need to. So number one, that's been done. Number two, we removed the fill. So I guess we're at preparate aerial overlay plan the site, collect data. So I mean, this is the plan, proposal plan, and I guess if it works with you guys, I know that we did a couple things like we don't have to. Let's see. There was a few things that I should have like tried to highlight. Pretty much we don't have to get it resurveyed because we agreed that the shortest point was good enough. And I think in like 2 hearings ago. So this is the proposal as of now, with continue with ECR. I hope to. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Did you hear any of that?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So Thomas, are you gonna be working with ECR to do this, or are you looking for another wetlands professional to carry out this proposal?
No, it seems like I can't really get a hold of anybody else. So we're
Okay.
gonna move forward with ECR. But this is the proposal as of right now. If it works with you guys, like I said, we don't need to do the survey, delineate and GPS survey at limited wetlands. But yeah, this is pretty much it.
One of the things I'm not clear about is the wetland survey. What do you mean you don't have to redo it? It looks like the last time it was done was March of 2019. Is that right?
Yeah, it was done like 5 years ago or something like that. I know that we had some it wasn't like a disagreement or whatever, but it was like where we had to figure out where the line was on what is wetland and what wasn't wetland.
Right.
Then we pulled up the old survey and we went with the shortest point. And then we said, okay, well, whatever, obviously anything beyond the shortest point would definitely be considered wetland. Again, there should be I could probably see if I have the email from and referring to, I mean, Charlotte sent me the PDF as well.
Charlotte,
Oh,
doesn't this need a refreshed wetland survey?
So I think at the last hearing, we, since the site right now is, in a little disarray and we have the erosion controls up, that was a part of the original enforcement order.
Yeah.
I think we had previously talked about that it's difficult to delineate the site in accordance with DEP methodology right now because it's disturbed. And so Brad had previously submitted some measurement markers from where the flags were originally done in 2015 by ECR. And he had provided those distance points from existing, structures and landscaping to where the flags were originally done. So for the moment, I think we had discussed using those as a baseline for establishing a wetlands restoration plan.
Okay.
I think if it's possible to delineate it in the future, once it's all been restored, that might be something the commission could look at. But right now, I think that makes sense of what Tom had summarized. I think that's what we discussed previously, that right now you can't really delineate the site in accordance with the methodology because, all the conditions are disturbed.
Okay, so ECR is going to, it sounds like ECR is going to do tasks 1 through 5 there. Is that right?
Yes. The one question I would have, I know he's not on the call, but I think for the purposes of the enforcement order, I think it would be good to get an estimated time frame of when the steps will be completed and when we would, get to step 5, which is to discuss it at a subsequent hearing. So I guess, Thomas, did you talk to Brad at all about this proposal in terms of if, when he might be able to, start doing this, or did he just give you the general plan here? Like, did he give you
just gave me a
timelines?
general plan. I can reach out to him tomorrow, and once
Okay.
we get back in touch, we can move forward, and I can let you know.
Okay, so we're not going to lift the enforcement order until we see an NOI then. So this is more or less a progress report that we're looking at, right?
Yeah, I don't know if do you want to just stick with, does the commission want an after the fact NOI, or do you want to just stick with the enforcement? Because you can fix all this through an enforcement order if you keep it open.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a good idea. At least to me. The rest of the commissioners? Speak up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I agree.
Yep. Okay.
So, since June 20th, I'm sorry, June 6th is really packed. Thomas, if you'd be able to give us an update by our following meeting on June 20th, doesn't have to be like necessarily a discussion item on the agenda unless the commission wants it on the agenda. But, I think by our next hearing on June 20th, I think we should at least get a timeline of when all these are going to be completed. And if you want to submit that to me in writing, I can just relay that to the commission at our June 20th meeting, if that works for everybody here.
Works for me.
Yeah, that
Because I think
works.
we're kind of past the spring planting season. I don't know if it's going to be possible to start working on this now, unless Brad disagrees.
Yeah, I can get, like I said, I can get a hold of him tomorrow
Okay.
and see when he responds. And the June 20th.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so I think if we can get like a more finalized proposal from Brad with timelines, I think that'll be great. And we can come back on the 20th.
Charlotte, just to clarify, especially given how busy our agendas are.
Yep.
Will Thomas and Brad come back with a specific, NOI or application for an order of conditions? Or are we getting another progress update?
Yes, you can do this one of two ways, or all the above. You can amend the current enforcement order to include an after the fact notice of intent submission, or you can just keep the enforcement order open to require the restoration plan, which is what we have now. The downsides to submitting an after the fact NOI is the process just takes a lot longer. DEP usually recommends dealing with these types of situations through enforcement. So you can, an enforcement order does cover the allowance to restore the wetland or the buffer zones, as long as you keep an enforcement order open. So it's in lieu of an order of conditions, but as part of an enforcement order, you can choose to require an after the fact NOI if you wanted to. DEP just normally discourages that, but it is an option. So if the commission wants that, you can amend the enforcement order to require that.
I think what I'm trying to get at is progress updates probably aren't so important for our agenda, given how many decisions we have to make and how many things we need to review.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Thomas, if you're able to, we can touch base maybe tomorrow. And I think tentatively we could proceed with, potentially having Brad complete everything for our June 20th meeting. And we can just tentatively put that on the agenda. But if you are able to give me an update tomorrow, if Brad cannot do that date, and if he needs to go to July, if the commission's okay with that, I think we can stick with June 20th or with our next meeting on July 11th. But yeah, at least if we could have a finalized restoration plan, I think that'll be prudent to move forward with.
You got it.
All right.
Okay.
Does the commission, are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other conditions or anything else that you'd want to see, or does this proposal look okay?
Looks like they're on the right track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Sounds good, Thomas. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So next we're going to consider an enforcement order for 280 Beechwood Street, subject again, unauthorized buffer disturbance, wood chips.
Yeah, so I don't see them on the call, but I did tell them our meeting was pushed from 5:16 to 5:23. Do you want me to try and call Brad real quick, Tom? If not, I can pull up his reports.
This is Brad Holmes.
Brad Holmes is working with Wayne Sawchuk.
And nobody showed up.
I don't see him in the audience.
No, don't
Let's
call.
move on.
Move on. And send them a stinging letter
Okay.
of some sort. Okay. Now, finally.
Do you want me to put it on another agenda? I know June 6th is already really bad.
This is such a small thing. Yeah, put them out in July.
In July, okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna, if you guys are okay with it, this will be a last warning.
Yeah.
And for every single day after our July meeting, I recommend fines.
Yeah.
Because I did make very clear that the hearing is on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're being generous.
I think we are, yeah. But, he did provide a, per the enforcement order, he did provide a wetlands delineation memo, from ECR and a restoration plan. So they did provide the documents, they just aren't here to present them.
Yeah, okay.
So are we okay with that, or do you want me to go through them at all, or?
No.
Nope, okay, just send
we
a
want-
letter.
we-
Okay.
We want them here.
Yeah, okay. All right.
You know, Mr. Sawchuk has made a habit of this. So he needs to show up. He had made a habit, first of all, not showing up, but secondly, this wood chip thing this is the third time we've had to discipline him on this very subject, not the same property, but
I don't know about wood chips, but he has been brought in a few times for different things.
Yeah.
One was vegetation removal along Sawyer Street. Another one was for infiltration system in the 50.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
we'll send a letter.
a serial violator. Okay, so we're going to resume the certificate of compliance for NOI 22-18, stormwater permit 22-14 for Rose Hill Lane. It's been continued from May 16th.
Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second to pull up my stuff because I didn't have these pulled up yet. So this was a pool project in the 100-foot buffer partially, so it wasn't in the 50. They had submitted a COC request back in December, but they still needed to finish some of the planting, so that's why this one's kind of taken a while to come to you guys. Merrill did update the as-built with all of the plantings, so I'm going to pull those up, and I can also pull up the approved plan. Most of the so the pool and the patio were for the most part built per plan. The patio is a tiny bit smaller. The pool was built in the exact location per plan. The planting locations and species, the location was shifted a little bit. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the as-built here. The planting locations were shifted a little bit. Some of them are outside the buffer, but for the plantings in the buffer, those were in compliance. They planted one additional summer sweet Clethra anifolia bush. And we do have a plant summary as well and an as-built of the plantings. The main deviations with this one was that the drainage is just a little bit different from the approved plan, so I can pull up the approved plan as well. But these are the as-built conditions. The subsurface system was installed per plan, the outlet here, and then there's a second one here. They're just a little bit further into the 100-foot buffer than originally approved, but they are at the toe of the slope. I think they were like right here and right here in the plan, so they just extended a little bit further out. There were supposed to be 3 outlet pipes here, but due to the patio being a little bit smaller, they replaced some of the trench drain stuff here just slightly differently, but it still all drains to the same area. So Merrill did provide an explanation for that, and I can pull it up. But other than that, those were the deviations that I noted. And it really just, took some time to finish the planting. So that's why it's here to you guys now, not back in December. But I can also pull up the planting as-built unless this looks good to you guys, but I can also pull up the approved plan. Do you guys want to see the approved plan?
I'll take your word for it.
All these seem like pretty minor issues.
hold on. I'll work for it. That's my job. It's just not fun having 50,000 things up on my screen and getting all cross-eyed. So this was the approved plan. So as you can see, this had 3 outlets here and they just had 2. Modified the splash bed here a little bit, modified some of the trench drains here a little bit, but for the most part, the drainage all goes into the same location from the approved plan. And then this was the pool and patio. I don't know the exact square footage reduction, but the as-built patio is a tad smaller, I think around here. And since it's a pool project, the recommended ongoing conditions, if a COC were to be issued, would be 40 and 41, which is the no herbicides and the plantings set to survive 3 full growing seasons, and then 52, which is our pool best management practices, about basically, not draining directly down the hill into the buffer and, keeping all the chemical levels at an appropriate level. Draining it over existing landscaping, pointing it away from abutters in the street and everything else. And yeah, as you guys can see, this is the 100-foot buffer. So some of the slight drainage deviations that I had noted, they are outside of the 100. The plantings were kind of shifted, but they still are in this area, but more plantings were installed in here. And then obviously this 3rd outlet pipe was not installed in the 100. And then these were just pushed up just a little bit to this limit of slope right here. So the as-built, they're pretty much like right here and right here. Do you want me to pull up the as-built again?
Are we all good with this?
Yep.
I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for NOI 22-18, stormwater permit 22-14 for Rose Hill Lane.
Second.
Okay.
Do you want the ongoing conditions 40, 41, and 52?
Yes.
Okay.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Chris McFarland, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Valerio Romano, aye.
Sanji Fernando,
Sanjay Fernando, aye.
Tom Bell, aye. That passes 6-0. The final one.
All right.
NOI.
So this one's even quicker. So the 12 Hobart Lane, we had
I need to state which one it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm in a hurry to quit too. NOI 21-26, stormwater permit 22-20, 12 Hobart Lane, continued from 6/22/23.
Awesome. Yep. So the reason why this one has been taking a much longer time is because it took the applicant a while to finish 2 things. One was the final coating on the driveway, and the other was installing the 4 eastern red cedar trees at the bottom of the retaining walls. I did go out to the site. The driveway has been finally all paved, and the 4 trees are in there. They are of at least 6 or 7 feet in height, as required per the site plan. And those are the only 2 pending things. It just took a while to get those done. So with this project, there were no pools. It was the retaining walls in the driveway. So the conditions I would recommend would be the 40 with no herbicides, pesticides, etc., and the plantings have to survive 3 full growing seasons. And I can pull up the as-built if you guys want to see it, but that's why we didn't issue a COC last year, because we wanted those to be done.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Anybody else want to see this? I'm not saying I do.
And the one thing I have to double check, and I will do this for Rose Hill Lane as well. Before I issue the stormwater COC, the long-term O&M plans will be recorded. So I will administratively take care of that because that's required.
Okay.
I think 12 Hobart already did theirs. I don't know about 4 Rose, so I'll make sure that happens.
Okay. So I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for NOI 2126, stormwater permit 2220, 12 Hobart Lane, with the conditions. Did you say 40 and 41?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, Kathy Bergen,
Kathy Bergen, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Chris McFarland,
Mr. McFarland, aye.
Larry Romano,
Larry Romano, aye.
Sanjay Fernando.
Sonia Fernando, abstain. I think I'm on a butter.
Okay, Tom Bell, aye. So that motion passes 5-0-1. So, okay, construction updates, Charlotte.
Hold on, let me pull up the agenda. What did I even write?
74 Black Horse, 205.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so 74 Black Horse, we had just approved this one. This was a, well, there was 2 separate permits. One was for the dock and one was for the turning the existing barn into a home. So he's pretty much ready to go. I think he just got his building permit. He installed erosion control, silt fences, DEP sign. So that's pretty much ready to start. And then 205 Atlantic Ave, Sanjay, I don't know if you saw, but they were supposed to start the tree work on the site. I had previously walked the site about 3 weeks ago. I did inspect the entire site, limit of work, all the trees that are supposed to be saved are all marked. There is the large tree in the 50-foot buffer that was dead and it was approved to come out, but after further discussion with the applicants, they want to try and save it. It is in the middle of the mitigation area, but it's still a great perching point for wildlife. So I told them if you can save it, great, but it is approved to come out. But Sanjay, I don't know if you, did you see anything weird going on there? Does it look like it's okay?
Nothing weird, actually, not even any like, I didn't see any like cutting or anything like that. Like
Oh,
there's
he
been
hasn't started
activity
yet?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've been like checking it every day, but I ran by there the other day and then I walked down, I think yesterday, and there's activity, but I don't see like active like tree cutting.
Okay.
But maybe I'm not there 24/7, so you know. I
Yeah,
didn't
no
notice
worries. You know, he might be waiting on, there might be one sign off that's still needed. I don't, I'll rescind my last statement. I don't know if he officially has a building permit yet. I think fire or sewer had to sign off. Sewer just reviewed it this week. So I think he'll start when the building inspector gives him a demo permit, but he did want to start yesterday. So I don't know. It sounds like he hasn't done that yet, but I did walk the limit of work. All the trees proposed to remain are all marked.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. They're all protected as well.
Yeah. And then 39 Ash, that's another recent stormwater permit for an addition, no work in the buffer zones. That work has recently started. So yeah, some of these people that just got their permits are already moving along. And then for other updates, for wetland regs, this was my time to be remote. So I am working on those. I am pretty much tearing them apart in multiple different ways. But if you guys ever have free time and you think of any potential changes, edits, suggestions, or other town regulations that you want me to look at, the ones I'm really looking at are a few of them in the South Shore. I'm looking at Dedham's because they're really good with tree stuff. And then I'm looking at a few other recommended towns that I'm reaching out to other conservation organizations about. So yeah, this is the time. So for the next few weeks, I'll be mostly remote, working on the regs. I've budgeted time every day for, you know, at least 4 hours to do that. So I will try to finish within the next couple weeks. And then I will follow up with town council and eventually follow up with a meeting to set up that we'd have to advertise. And then I would love for anybody, if you are available, if you're still here on the commission or after you leave, I will invite all current and previous conservation commissioners, since you guys were all a part of this, and I would love any feedback from current, past commissioners, etc. And then last but not least, show cause hearings. So Tom, this relates to some of our 48-hour updates, but I have 10 or 11 show causes and violations to issue. Given the fact that our meetings have been extremely packed, I haven't had time to sit down and write these letters, even though I have a template, it's still time consuming. So I've also been cognizant of the fact that our agendas have been very crowded, and I will definitely not be putting any show cause hearings except for one on June 6th. But I will try my best to space these out. But one of Angela and I were thinking, I know if you guys want the extra work, I could potentially schedule a separate meeting and put all the show causes and violations on in one. But that'll be a fun meeting that you guys might want to, you know, have a drink in your hands for. So I don't know if that makes sense, or if you want me to try and just space them out like a couple on each agenda. But it's just we've just been so busy. So I'm open to what you guys want to do. But yeah, I have 10 in the wings to be issued.
Can't you give
Show cause hearings
Tom
and
one of
one
those
enforcement order.
horses and like a badge you can ride around?
I could try. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hearings for you guys, and I know it's a lot of work. So I'm open to whatever you guys want to do. If you want me to just space them out on agendas, or if you want me to set up a whole separate meeting for them.
I think maybe we should set up a separate meeting for them and just dispense with them.
Okay.
Because I know we're gonna see more, and it's.
They keep coming.
We're
Yep.
just gonna have a backlog.
Mm-hmm. It's
Uh,
already pretty bad. I mean, the last 4 agendas have all just been packed.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, let's see if we can clear the decks of those.
Okay.
So, so 48-hour issues.
Okay.
Unless you have more to say about.
Well, at least for the show, cause do you guys just want to pick a month, and I'll just send out an email and make a day work for you guys? Do you want to just pick a month?
Yeah, let's try to do them in June.
You want to do them in June? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the trail gets cold after a while, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about, so there's June 6th and June 20th. How about June 27th? That'd be a fun last hurrah for you, Chris.
Well, I might not make it to 27. What's my day?
June 30th.
You say that, but I don't know if that's true.
It is. You saw it. That was from town manager.
I think I was signed in on June the 21st.
They always do end of June for your, like, you know, whatever appointment periods. So it's always like the end of June for whatever year that you were appointed. Sometimes it's July 1st, but usually it's June 30th.
I think it was June 21st.
So
If you want to check, you can, or you could be like, you know, other commissioners just.
my calendar's free on that June 27th.
I can do the
Alright.
27th.
Well, because the reason why I'm asking is that depends on how I write the letters. The letters will summon them on a certain date.
Yeah.
So if you want me to do the 27th, I will. And Chris, no pressure to attend. I'm just teasing you. Okay. All right.
You want to go out with a bang, besides a bunch of people before you leave?
Oh boy,
I want to go with a what?
I might get in trouble.
Go out with a bang and chastise a bunch of people. You got 10 people to gripe at. Drop
It'll
the
be a
mic
fun
and leave.
meeting, that's for sure. Lots of angry people.
I'm
Okay.
available also.
Okay, I'll make 27th work. All right, 48 hours. Tom, you want to go first?
Yeah, 102 is in compliance. 102 Howe Road.
Okay, so
they
they're
did not-
okay?
They did not pave over the pervious driveway. They just went up to the
Okay.
per plan right around the house.
Okay.
And when I was driving down to the harbor for the tour of the our weak points in our stormwater system, storm surge problems, I saw that the guy at 17 Atlantic was draining his pool right down the driveway, and it was flowing across Atlantic into the salt marsh.
Yep.
Yep.
So they're getting a letter. For that one in particular, do we want to bring them in or just issue a warning letter?
I think just a warning letter is good enough.
Okay, Because then we
And
have a
we-
record, and if they do it again, you issue fines.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Just point out that it's, you're being a bad neighbor
yep.
to your salt marsh. He's
So,
probably
not
probably
great
been
for,
doing it for decades and probably has no idea that he's not supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
yeah, just inform him.
Okay. I have a template for that, so that's great. Okay. And then the 48-hour issues that I had, as of today, the enforcement order we issued for 97 Border Street, they have officially paid the town for the cost of 2 eastern red cedar trees. I got the quote from DPW for 2 cedars of at least 5 to 7 feet in height. It would be $840. So they have paid that as of today. To give you guys a quick update on our financial accounts, long story short, we have a fines account. It is not revolving. So if the money goes into that account, it gets dispensed into the general account by the end of June. So we did not want to do that. So until I can set up a very specific revolving account with conservation for these types of situations, for now, we put it in the tree bank with a very specific note that the trees to be purchased are eastern red cedars and that they are to be planted on Jerusalem. DPW said that they could do that, and I will work with them on doing that, and I'll update you guys. The only thing in the future is they said if it's possible, if the commission is doing fines like this again, ordering people to plant trees on town property, if they could include the labor costs as well, and then you take the pressure off of DPW, because we don't know when they're going to purchase these cedars. So if we issue something like this again, we should charge them for the cost of the trees and the labor, and make them pay up. And then we can hire somebody ourselves, or they can hire somebody and do it by a certain date. So, but DPW said they'll do it. So you'll see trees on Jerusalem.
So they'll plant them?
DPW said they'll do it. Yeah, they just said in the future, if you do stuff like this, can you please include the labor costs? Because they can't always be, doing stuff that, we tell them to do. Like normally they obviously cut down trees, and their tree bank is only for street trees. So that's another reason why we should probably have our separate accounts to make sure the money's not accidentally used for purchasing a tree that we don't want.
Right. So
Too
Kathy,
busy
let's
bulldozing
just figure out
Sandy
where those trees should go, and then we'll tell DPW where to put them.
Yeah. Yeah, so they'll work with us on that. I just have to call Brian Joyce because I don't know if he fully read all my emails, but the tree foreman is aware.
Okay. Well, they shouldn't just put them any old place along Jerusalem Road there. There's actually a couple of places. I was thinking one by each of the benches, Kathy.
Okay.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell him to work with us
Just
on that.
McFarland Memorial Cedars.
There you go.
In honor of people who broke the laws. And then another enforcement issue that just came up as of today, the harbor master emailed me that our friend at 100 Whitehead Road, who I will be issuing an enforcement order to for the beach, has also revised. There's an existing dock, and he reoriented it similar to that guy on Border Street. So I could probably just issue an all-encompassing enforcement order for both of those issues. Yeah, same property manager.
So is this, you mean his dock is sticking out into the channel?
So it was originally in a straight orientation, and he just changed it to a right angle. But he had previously spoken to Lori last year, and Lori said you have to go through Concom. He didn't do it.
Yeah, let's bring that scofflaw in.
Yep. So I can combine the enforcement order for the beach and for the dock.
He must think just because he works for a rich guy, he doesn't have to do any of this stuff.
Yeah, and we had discussed for the beach stuff to have town council have it on their letterhead. Might be a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
DEP, unfortunately, I don't think is going to help us unless it becomes a severe issue. So, yep. All right. And then the last thing you guys may or may not have heard, over the weekend, I was overly competitive in tennis, and I did something to my right leg. I cannot walk or drive right now. I am in a boot, and I'm getting scans next week to determine if it's a sprain, which is I'm hopeful for, or if it's an Achilles tendon tear, which would be really bad. It's not ruptured, nothing's broken, but unfortunately, I cannot walk sites right now. So I did as much as I could last week with obviously not even knowing I would hurt myself. And then I was supposed to have like 4 or 5 site visits on Monday and had to cancel them all. Sorry, Sanji. So I will do my best to still be active with enforcement, but for emergency site visits, if you guys do see anything, John, my boss will cover for me. So if there's anything wrong going on in town, someone's doing something, I can call, I can tell John to go out and do it. The only thing you guys just won't see, unfortunately, will probably be for new projects. I won't be able to go to the sites and take photos for our June 6th meeting. So I can pull up Nearmap and I can ask the applicants and the engineers for any photos. But you guys are also welcome, if you are feeling active about it, you can choose to go to the sites or drive by them if you like. I will make sure that all the new projects, they've signed the permission to access site form, which would give you guys permission. I just always knock on the door just to let people know I'm here. I usually have a town badge. So if you guys do want to walk any sites and you have questions, just let me know. So yeah, I'll let you guys know what's going on with me. I hope it's just a sprain, but I've already had
sorry
jokes
to
with
hear that.
contractors about having them push me around in a wheelchair. So I'll make it happen.
You need a sedan chair, not a wheelchair.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
I think you need a sedan chair, not a wheelchair.
Or an RTV. I just can't drive right now.
Poor thing.
Well, it gives you an excuse to do the wetland stuff
Which one?
or the wetlands protection stuff
Yeah.
that you've been working on.
True.
So now yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this couldn't have come at a better time. It's actually kind of hilarious. And I didn't even do it on purpose, obviously. I was just playing sports and it felt like someone smashed my leg. And I was like, did someone just hit me? And then I realized I was on the ground. I was like, huh? I didn't even know what happened. It felt like someone hit me from the back. So I don't know. That's why I'm worried it might be not just a sprain, because it really felt like something snapped. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah. But I've been icing, being immobile. I'm trying to speed this recovery process up. But like I said, I'm already working remotely most of the week for the next 3 weeks anyway to revise the regulations. So yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll get better soon.
Yeah.
I'll try. I'll try.
Hopefully
it doesn't reach certain people in town who like to break the rules, but you never know. Word travels fast.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Everybody wants to leave. Raise your hand.
Good night.
Night,
Good
guys.
night, guys.
Go Celtics. Yeah, go Celtics.
Yay. All right, guys. Have a great Memorial Day.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.